I will say, probably my best Monday night of the year. I got 4.5 hours straight through.
Nice.
That's far and away the best Monday night I've had heading into our show on Tuesday. Well, and it was 7-6 going to the fourth, and yet they were getting manhandled.
Nice, Jay. Thank you for all your help, buddy.
He did cough and blow.
Louse. Louse, Mac.
Wow.
Man. Wow. That's not louse.
Is it 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock? What time is it?
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. On this Tuesday, we are down to 8 in the NFL. Hope your week got off to a good start. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Top of the morning to you, Mark.
Good morning, David.
Did your week get off to a good start?
You know, it wasn't half bad. I got a lot going on, but it wasn't half bad. I accomplished a lot yesterday and, was able to only get yelled at a little bit during the first half of the game. All right, she's not awake and she's not listening. My life got a lot easier with Pittsburgh not playing football anymore.
Tough being married to a Steelers fan when they're in the same 9-win, 10-win, if we make the playoffs, get bounced in the first round rut.
Well, David, like you, I think like you, when I watch a game, I am doing a comment. Well, I don't do play-by-play, but I am basically the color analyst when I'm on the couch.
Right.
And I point out, I just say things. I don't really say them to anybody. They just come out. Having done this as long as we have, when I watch a game and I see something, it comes out. And my wife is of the opinion that if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all.
Oh, boy.
And when you watch the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's impossible to do. Because they're not good. And they were playing an elite defense last night. I mean, yep. I have lots of questions for you about Houston and going forward and Pat Kirwan later on in the show today. But I'm watching the game, and she gets mad at me when I point out negative things about her team or positive things about the opposition. And it's tough to watch any Steeler game right now without pointing out negative things about the Pittsburgh Steelers and positive things about their opposition. Because, wow, man, you were there up close and personal. Talk to me about that Houston defense, because, David, it looked really fast on television, And as you know, there's a lot of tight shots, line of scrimmage. You're not seeing secondary players, so we don't see it from the perspective you're seeing it from. But I got to imagine that defense is even better in person.
It reminds me of about a generation ago. Pick the defenses that, you really liked in this sense. The NFL is a bunch of substitutions and specializations. Yeah, Houston plays basically the same 11 guys in a 4-2-5. Now, they will rotate out some defensive linemen, mostly just to give their ends a rest. And they'll put some guys in maybe on a first and second down in the drive just to rest, Hunter and Anderson. But, the back seven, they don't come out. And Gary and I have a joke. I don't know how funny it is, but,
just a ha-ha more than a belly laugh, I would say.
Is like John Chavis's LSU defenses were funny to us because every other defense and, the offense is subbing in and out guys in different formations and the whole deal. And literally the LSU 11 would stand around. Same 11. Nobody came off. Nobody got any rest. They just stand there with their hands on their hips, almost looking at the offense like, you guys done? You going to line up? Oh, okay, that's what you're going with? Fine. And then they just pick their guy. I got him. Boom. And that was it. And, they'd hold you to 6 points. And, I don't want to call this Texans defense, the 0-2 Bucks. But they remind me of them in their style of play. I don't know that the talented defensive line, I don't know that there's a Warren Sapp on that line. The defensive end there from Illinois, who probably should be in the Hall of Fame as well. He had about 130 sacks. I don't know if Hunter and Anderson are truly, him. And obviously the Bucs had Hall of Famers at every level. I mean, they had Lynch and Barber. They had Brooks. They had Sapp. Okay, probably should have a fifth Hall of Famer off that defense. I don't think that those guys individually are those players. But if you think about it, I don't know if anybody saw the introductions, but the Texans defensively have a first team All-Pro. Not a Pro Bowler, and not just somebody who made the All-Pro team because, there are second-team All-Pros. A first-team All-Pro. There are 11 of those on defense. The Texans have 3 of them, one at every level of their defense. So, yes, listen, Seattle's outstanding defensively. There are a couple other teams that
Patriots are really good. I mean, they are.
They are. They're very solid. Don't know if they're spectacular. We still question the level of competition they faced, but they're shutting everybody down. But it's tough to say that somebody's better than those guys. Now, I think New England will be able to block them a little more effectively than Pittsburgh did. Pittsburgh only blocked them in the first quarter.
Well, and they didn't do much of that. And I mean, Pittsburgh's invested a lot here in the last, 3, 4, 5 years in drafting for that offensive line. I don't know how good it is.
Well, and also because of injuries, they were playing a guy at left tackle who they literally signed off the street 6 weeks ago. And that's tough when you're going up against a first-team All-Pro end. So,
and the Colts scored points against them before the end of the regular season, but other than that, the most they gave up was 21 in a game against the Raiders, and I don't know if Stroud and company turned it over, but they gave up nearly 30 against the Jags. So there have been teams that have had success against Houston. But what impressed me most last night, David, in an era where tackling doesn't seem to be a thing that teams do well. I mean, if you were to be critical of the NFL, which I know we're not allowed to because it's the greatest league ever, blah, blah, blah. But even on Saturdays, when you watch football on Saturday and you watch it on Sunday, tackling, to a lot of us at least, isn't what it used to be. Guys are constantly trying to punch the ball out, and we get these scrums where we're just holding on to a guy and not taking him to a ground, and seemingly no one puts a shoulder into a chest anymore. To a man, that Texans D tackles really well.
Really well. And D'Amico Ryans is adamant about it. You know how certain teams about their wide receivers are, if you don't block, you're not going to get the rock. D'Amico Ryans' philosophy is if you don't tackle, you ain't going to see the field. I don't care how good you can cover. If you can't tackle, as far as I'm concerned, you're useless.
And there was a play in the first half, David, and it was one of the, Pittsburgh had 2 plays early where they gained yards. After that, they seemingly did nothing in the first half. I mean, the first play, I think they ran for 10. The next play, they threw and got, 16, 17 yards, whatever the hell it was. But after that, they didn't seem to do much offensively. And it was evident by the 0 for on third down. But they ended up getting, 6-8 yard gain because it was either the linebacker or the D-back. It was on a screen play, slipped and fell. Well, normally when that happens, that's a first down. And all of a sudden, there wasn't 1 but 2 Texans there, and that man was on the ground. They're a really good tackling team. So, I don't know do we have an idea now what games we're getting everywhere on networks? Where are you going to be next week?
New England for Houston and the Patriots.
Well, good for you. Maybe not for everybody else associated with ESPN, and maybe they don't want that game because they want more offense or whatever the case may be. But for you, David, personally, that's your kind of football game because you know what there's going to be in that game? A lot of defense and a lot of tackling. You know what else? First downs are going to be a premium in that game. Scoring is going to be a premium. You may pull your hair out depending on how much Vrabel and DeMarco Ryans go for fourth downs because I don't know what will happen because I know that drives you nuts. But, David, first downs, 3 points, things like that, they're going to be important in that football game.
Yes, they are. And there were a couple of times that the Steelers had receivers behind the Texans secondary, which is a very aggressive secondary. They commit more penalties than most because they are very aggressive. They play a lot of man, but Rodgers didn't have the time to get the ball out to potentially make the big play. That, to me, will be 1 play a quarter, Mark. I think New England's going to set up Houston to get a big play, and is Drake May going to have time?
Well, and
are they going to be able to hit it?
Sorry, but the big difference there is Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career is a statue. He drops back and he ain't moving.
Right.
We all know that Drake May can move a little bit. So
no doubt
his ability to extend plays and move the pockets could be the difference on those plays. We've got the whole week to get to it, but you're right. We wild card weekend, and last night, even at halftime and into the third quarter, the Chargers and Patriots game was competitive. Last night, it was competitive till the fourth, and then Houston blew them out in the final quarter. So a terrific wild card weekend from start to finish.
No question. 4 of the 6 games were outstanding, and the other 2, which were kind of boring, were 9-3 in the fourth and 7-6 in the fourth. So the games were still in doubt, even if they were a little dull.
We've got a good show for you today. As I mentioned, Pat Kirwan will join us on the show. JP Peterson will join the show as well. There's talk about where the Rays' new stadium is going to be, and no one's been on top of that story better than JP from the get-go. We'll check in with him. But before that, the 7 o'clock hour, Bob Harig will join us because Brooks Koepka's coming back to the PGA Tour.
Wow. That was fast.
Sure was. And he's going to pay and pay dearly. But then again, how sorry can you feel for him after all the money he made in Live Golf? Miller and Moulton, the starting 5, 25 minutes away. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With the newest slots, action-packed table games, sports betting, the hottest entertainment, and a variety of award-winning restaurants. Expect more with live craps, roulette, and blackjack 24/7. And over 1,400 of the most popular slot machines. This is the place where paradise never ends. This is Seminole Casino Hotel. Minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So a couple of things that were said in the chat room that I caught there. Should we bet the under? The number's 41.5. It's a little higher than what it was last night.
I would.
Patriots are 3 points favorites. The Bills game where they started out as a favorite, it's flipped. The Broncos are now a 1.5 favorite. So the money came in hard on Denver early. And Canada Relief, I have a question because I've never asked this of you. Where are you in the Great White North? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And that was grudges and pettiness because he left and went to Washington. I watched the entire ceremony, Canada Relief. He said that it was his fault that he left. Yeah, he went to the Hall of Fame in 2015. To go to the Hall in 2015 and in 2026 have your jersey retired seems a little long to me too. Vaughan, Ontario. All right, Vaughan, Ontario. I've never heard of that. And having done minor league hockey broadcast for as long as I did, I thought I'd heard of most towns in Ontario. I did ask you this before. I don't remember. I don't remember what I had for dinner last night. Actually, I do. It was chicken enchiladas. They were homemade, and they were delicious. Oh, no. Kevin Ball, we think it might go closer to 10. So borderline with Toronto heading, west. Because obviously if you head east, you're in Lake Ontario. North, okay. What's your closest junior team? Okay, so you're basically a suburb, essentially. Gotcha. Yes, I did, Empire. I hope it's not bad, but he got, helped off the ice and they fell on his knee. I happened to be watching it when it happened. That sucks for a lot of reasons. The Olympics being one, but obviously they are playing really well.
Who's this?
Point got hurt last night.
Oh.
8-0-2 for your Leafs in the last 10. Took everything, but my Panther bet would have won. You know, Empire, I find it interesting because I think Stammer gets traded at the deadline. It's just where. F the Habs. Sorry, Raiders. It sounds right. I don't. David would know better than me, but I know that Vanderbilt's not only good in football, their basketball team's undefeated. I guess the women's okay.
Both Vanderbilt basketball teams are unbeaten. No.
I mean, I, you know, David and I talked about it all the week. I think because Nashville's bad, so I mean, he wouldn't be the worst guy to play third line on your team and get some power play time.
The only thing the team's got to realize when you acquire Stammer, he's got 2+ years left on his contract, and you're paying $8 million.
Ooh, makes him almost untradeable.
Well, it makes it you're not going to get much, or you're going to get another contract in return.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. I'm in Pittsburgh, where it's clear and right around freezing. It wasn't too bad last night. It was colder during the day last night. It was about a 25-mile-an-hour wind all day, and then the wind settled down for the game, and it was non-existent.
How loud was it first half? I mean, of the places you go, it always depends on how the audio's done, so you get a different vibe at home from every stadium. And, you know, all stadiums, you know, I know the Viking Stadium always sounds loud, and I've been to plenty of games there, but not a playoff game. But I've been to some big games there. But it seemed like it was amped up pretty good in that first half.
Yeah, and it was very different than it was just, 4 or 5 weeks earlier when we were there mid-December for Dolphins Steelers. Very different. And, I could tell Sunday getting into town. I could tell at the airport. The airport was all dolled up with Steelers stuff. And it was like, oh, that display wasn't there a month ago. Ooh, look at that. That's an electronic video board. I mean, you could tell. It was like, oh, it's the playoffs. It's the Steelers. Oh, yeah, they're all in. Oh, yeah. And the pessimism that existed during the regular season when I was here a month ago, oh, I don't know. Oh, no. It was the playoffs. It's the Steelers. We're going to win. And which I found it interesting, but I also found it kind of nice that, think about it. They haven't won a playoff game in 9 years. And yet Steelers fans were convinced, oh, no, it's the playoffs. We're home. We're going to win. I mean, I went out to a sub shop to get lunch yesterday. I talked to 20 people. I did. And
they are a nice bunch. Pittsburgh people are pretty nice. They really are.
And they all wanted to talk about the game. They were all going to the game. They were all going to the game. It was the early afternoon. They had already headed to downtown Pittsburgh. They were in their gear. Mark, we joked about this a long time ago. It's almost as if there's something on the ticket that says if you're not wearing a jersey, you're not allowed in. It's the highest jersey percentage of any fan base I've ever seen.
And I told you that for the longest time. You're like, yeah, whatever. I go here. Your first trip, because it was one of the last stadiums that you went to.
It was the last of the major. Well, it was the last of the NFL stadiums that I ever did a game at.
And you poo-pooed me for a couple of years.
Yep.
And you're like, I'll be damned. He's right.
Oh, my goodness. The guy sitting in front of me at the sub shop had a Mean Joe Green jersey on.
That's the part I love.
Love it.
There is no greater range of different jerseys at a Pittsburgh game. Maybe Green Bay. I mean, you obviously have to have some history to have that, but they go back to the 70s guys that, every era seems to be represented with a guy or two there.
And so, they were all in. They thought they were going to win. And yeah, they could play that game 10 more times.
They're going to lose it every time.
They are. They can't block those guys. And the fact that Houston, who barely runs for 100 yards a game, ran the ball the way they did on them last night. To me, it's real easy if you're running the Steelers. You got to break it up. And I know it means you're going to have to go a place where you haven't gone maybe since the late 60s. But what you have is not good enough. It's not. It's barely good enough to sneak in to the tourney. But
in a bad division, say what you want. But I mean, obviously, particularly with Baltimore sliding, Cincinnati's been doing this for a few years now. They're not good. At best, they're average. I'm sorry, Bengals. Got a great quarterback, we think, but the rest of you ain't that good. The Browns are a mess, and the Ravens had a horrible year.
We like to say that the Dolphins haven't won a playoff game since the final days of the Clinton presidency. Well, the Steelers haven't won a playoff game since the final days of the Obama administration. How long ago does that seem?
A lifetime, David.
So, if you're Pittsburgh, this is real easy. You got to blow it up. And yeah, it probably means you're going to have a season, maybe two, that, wow, we haven't had years like that. I don't know what to tell you, man. Your two best players on defense are both in their 30s, and they both cost a ton of money. And they're still your best players, but
put it this way, your two best players on defense where would they be? Let me ask you this. Where would you rank those two players if they were on the other side of the ball?
Well, I mean, that's tough to do. That's the best defense in the league. And also, Watt's not 100%. Okay, but
hasn't been in 2 years.
Well, you could argue that the Texans' ends are better than where Watt is right now.
Yes.
Now, do I think they'd find a way to get Watt on the field? Sure, of course they would. It's Cam Hayward is still awesome. I mean, he really is. What's he, 36 years old? I mean, he is a dude still. He really is. But he's a fortune. And you haven't done anything with him here. I mean, Watt's never won a playoff game. I'm pretty sure Watt joined the team the very next year. So what are you tearing down? That would be to me, this is easy. You're stuck in the worst no man's land that we could argue there is in professional sports.
500 or thereabouts in the NFL is a tough spot to be.
I mean, they were 10-7 this year, but they're basically stuck in 9-8 land. And the organization says that's not good enough. Well, then you're going to have to break this up. Now, whether that includes the coach, that's up to you. Whether the coach wants to be there for taking a step or two back.
That's really the question, David, because everybody believes at this point that if Tomlin leaves, it's going to be mutual, that he's not getting fired, that he'll decide to walk away. You've thought for the longest time they should trade him. I mean, you've said it for 2 years.
I still think they should trade him. I do. We still have a ton of openings. I think teams would give up something for Mike Tomlin. I would say to Mike, is there a team you want to go to? I said, don't say it out loud so that they know. Okay, but, let us know. We'll make a deal. I would look at him as an asset. I'd get whatever I can for him. I mean, I'd look at the Atlanta Falcons, who I think are going to finish second in the Harbaugh sweepstakes. And I'd be like, do you want Mike Tomlin? It's going to cost you blank. Hey, don't complain about the price. All right. Do you want Mike Tomlin or not? He's under contract with us. Okay. We can make it so that he can't be your coach. In fact, we don't have to do anything for him to not be your coach. But, we're going to go in a direction. He may not want to go to that direction. He has spoken highly of you guys before. I'm curious. Would you like Mike Tomlin?
David, that could right there be a poll question. What would you trade to have Mike Tomlin as a coach? First round pick, second round pick, third round pick, or my answer, I wouldn't trade for a coach.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's a legitimate question today.
I mean, is there a team in which you think Mike Tomlin puts him over the top the way John Gruden did with Tampa Bay nearly 25 years ago?
I do like that Atlanta idea. I think he's perfect for the Atlanta Falcons. I think he's exactly what they need.
I do too.
They need an element of toughness. They've got some talent there.
And not only that, they need a coach with credibility that their fan base will go, yeah, we got a dude. We got the guy. The guy's not the problem. Okay. Now we start criticizing the players because the guy ain't the problem.
I've heard worse ideas, even this morning, I think from me.
Miller and Moulton. The starting five is next. A lot of interesting tidbits in the sports world yesterday that you may have missed coming up.
Football season is back, and celebrate your game day with Jimmy the Beef Guy. We're talking tender, juicy Chicago beef sandwiches. Whether your party's for 10, 100, or 200, bring game day to your house with Jimmy the Beef Guy. The catering packages come with the beef, the gravy, the peppers, the bread, everything you need. 2 convenient locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. Skip the ordinary and bring the beef. Jimmy the Beef Guy, Chicago flavor, Southwest Florida style. Call today or visit jimmythebeefguy.com. Tell him Miller and Moulton sent you.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
And a lot of you, or a couple of you said, well, what do you want to be 9-8 and not make the playoffs? One, he won early on in his career in the playoffs. So let's start there. Secondly, do you know how many teams in the league would love to be 9-8, 10-7 and make the playoffs every year? Put it this way. New Orleans, would they sign up for it right now? I think so. Atlanta, yeah. Indianapolis, Arizona, the Raiders, the Dolphins. I mean, come on. I think a lot of you're right. The Jets. I mean, there are a lot of teams. But now, some teams think more highly of themselves that didn't make the playoffs, Johnny. But I get what you're saying. But I mean, I'm thinking more than just last year. Teams that have had, that have just been lousy for a while. I reached out to JP last night. He's going to join us via link, yeah. I think in Pittsburgh, more than anything, it was the last, 4 or 5 years of Ben were not great. One of them was, and they've not had a quarterback. They simply haven't had the guy at quarterback. And I don't think they've drafted very well. They've missed on a lot of these offensive linemen that they expected to be better. And as David pointed out, a few got hurt, but I don't buy into the whole everybody got hurt thing when I watch the Niners. I know they're an exception, but damn. There are teams that get through it. I mean, even Detroit last year, their defense suffered all kinds of injuries, finally bit them in the postseason, but they still were winning games every week. All right, here's a poll question because most of our audience, I don't know. I don't know the ages in Twitch, so I'm just not even going to say that. Do you think there should be mandatory driver's tests every 10 years as opposed to just redoing your license, that you have to go take a driver's test every so often, or even a test, because we just renew our licenses? There are so many people that simply don't know the rules of the road. And this isn't the unwritten rules of the road. This is the rules of the road. I've loved some of the videos that I've seen. It'll show a car crash. It's a husband and wife. And the cops, and they're fake. And the cop's like, what have you had to drink? And the guy's like, well, I had 4 beers and 3 shots. And he's like, and you still let her drive? Ken, are you a Steelers fan? That's some angst there.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Bob Harig will join us 1 hour from now. 8 a.m. Eastern hour, Pat Kirwan to talk all things NFL, and JP Peterson with a major update on the future of the Tampa Bay Rays in Tampa Bay. Right now, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is The Starting Five.
Brought to you by Lee County, Florida, building a better community through BST, business, sports, and tourism. We'll start with the NFL. It was 7-6 at the half. Heck, it was 7-6 after 3 quarters. But the Texans were dominating the Steelers, and they did so on the scoreboard in the fourth, outscoring Pittsburgh 23-0 in winning 30-6, scoring not one but two defensive touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers held to 146 yards passing, only 110 net if you factor in the 4 sacks. His last pass, if this is truly it, was returned for a pick 6. As I mentioned, the Texans with 2 defensive touchdowns, overcoming their quarterback, C.J. Stroud, with 3 turnovers. Texans have won 10 in a row. This was their first road playoff win in franchise history. It's the 7th straight playoff loss for the Steelers. Got to go back to the 2016 season, the last time the Steelers won a playoff game. They won 2 that year and played Belichick, Brady, and the Patriots for the AFC Championship game 9 seasons ago. They are 0-6 in the playoffs since losing that game. Texans will face the Patriots next. Some news that came out yesterday, much of it injury related. Texans lost wide receiver Nico Collins during the game last night. He's in concussion protocol. So is Patriots Pro Bowl cornerback Christian Gonzalez, who left in the fourth quarter of their win over the Chargers. He's in the protocol. Bills lost wide receiver Gabe Davis. He tore another ACL in that win over the Jags. But the bigger loss, Jordan Poyer. He's a bigger part of the team at safety. Yeah, they've already ruled him out for the Broncos game. All right, finally, you had to wait till about 11:30 last night, but the NFL figured out what games, when, and who's going to televise them. The 2 1 seeds are playing Saturday. First up, 4:30 Eastern on CBS. The Broncos will host the Bills. Denver right now is a 1.5-point favorite. That's not how it was 24 hours ago. So it's 4:30 Eastern Saturday on CBS, Nance and Romo, with the Broncos and the Bills. Fox with Burkhardt and Brady, 8 o'clock Eastern Saturday night. Seattle, a 7.5-point favorite over the Niners. And they just played a couple weeks ago. Sunday, 3 o'clock, ESPN and ABC, they get more Texans. Houston in New England. Patriots, a 3-point favorite. And then,
is that like more cowbell? More Texans?
More Texans. And then the Sunday night game. Where else do you find Sunday night football but on NBC? 6:30 Eastern. The Rams in Chicago, LA, a 3.5-point favorite. So 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. CBS and Fox on Saturday. ABC and NBC on Sunday. College football news. First off, the ratings for last Thursday's semifinal between Miami and Ole Miss came in. It's the 2nd worst rated playoff game in the 12-year history of, a 4 or 12-team playoff. Barely better than a Clemson blowout of Oklahoma about 9 years ago.
Wow, that's amazing to me. Great game.
Yep.
Miami, for the longest time, rated. Like, I know Ole Miss didn't rate, but that surprises me.
15.8 million people. It's pretty much a Thursday night viewership on Amazon. Also, this continues the recent trend of the college football playoff ratings peaking in the quarterfinals right around New Year's Day. And it doesn't matter who's in the semis, and it doesn't matter when you play them. The viewership goes down.
So what you're saying is that the college football fan is used to watching college football on New Year's Day?
And the casual fan does not find the sport after New Year's Day. They go back to regularly viewing habits already in progress. Yes. Sam Levitt ended up choosing LSU. The Arizona State quarterback is going to go play for Lane. This is an interesting situation developing in Eugene. Dylan Raiola chose Oregon. Dante Moore hasn't decided what he's going to do yet. Oregon actually said out loud, if Moore wants to come back, Raiola's going to have to redshirt and back him up. It's going to be the most expensive backup quarterback in college football. It also means that Miami missed out on Raiola because they wanted him. So it'll be curious who Miami gets. Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss is headed to court to fight the NCAA, who on Friday said that his eligibility is over.
Can I bet on whether or not he gets another year of eligibility? Because he's suing the NCAA. I'll take Chambliss. Uh-oh.
He's suing the NCAA. Yeah, I kind of lost you there for a couple seconds. So basically, since he's suing the NCAA, you're betting on Trinidad Chambliss.
I am.
And finally, Colorado's had a 5-star recruit at left tackle the last 2 years, Jordan Seaton. He started 22 games. Well, he's entered the portal. That's a big loss for Dion and company.
Yeah, after getting the best receiver, the kid, I think from San Jose State, was it, that left to come there, had the leading receiver in the country, transferred to Colorado.
College hoops, new rankings. Arizona nearly the unanimous number one because Michigan lost last weekend. Iowa State did get one first place vote, so it's Arizona 1, Iowa State 2. Then the next 5 teams all have one loss. UConn, Michigan, Purdue, Duke, and Houston. They're ranked 3 through 7. 16-0 Nebraska is 8th. 16-0 Vandy is 10th. Alabama's 18th, Florida's 19th. Miami, UCF, and Auburn all receiving votes. On the women's side, unbeaten UConn remains the unanimous number 1. South Carolina and UCLA each move up a spot to 2 and 3. Vandy is 17-0 and number 5. So you've heard correctly. The men's team is 16-0 and the women's team is 17-0. Vanderbilt basketball approaching the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, 33-0. Texas Tech's 18-0, they're 17th. Bama is 16-1, and they're ranked 21st. 9 games in the NHL. A.J. Greer with 2 goals for the Panthers and a much-needed 2 points. They went into Buffalo, beat the Sabres 4-3. Lightning have won 10 straight. John Cooper won his 600th game. We'll see how bad the Hagel injury is.
Point,
I'm sorry.
And by the way, Cooper getting his 600th victory, he's the second fastest to ever do so behind this guy named Scotty Bowman. Bowman did it 3 games faster than what Cooper has done.
Can we finally give John Cooper the Coach of the Year award? Can John Cooper finally win the Jack Adams? I mean, it's not a good look for an award with the guy who is widely considered the best coach in the sport hasn't even won the damn thing once. Rangers were up 2-0, but they were at home, so they lost. Seattle beat them 4-2. Your Wings, Mark, an emotional night at the old joint there. Sergei Fedorov, number retired.
It was awesome. Watched every second of the ceremony.
Detroit beat Carolina in overtime 4-3. Montreal
tried
3
to blow it. They were up 3 spit. Had to fight off a 5-on-3 power play to get it to overtime.
Montreal 3 in the third, beat Vancouver 6-3. Devils snap a 4-game skid. Impressive 2 points going to Minnesota, beating the Wild 5-2. McDavid with 2 more points. He has a 19-game point streak. Edmonton 4-1 over Chicago. How about the Maple Leafs? What are they, 8-0-2 in their last 10?
8-0-2 in their last 10. The Leafs are playing great hockey right now.
They went to Colorado and got 2 points. They beat the Avs in overtime 4-3. And the Stars are turning it around. They went into LA, beat the Kings 3-1. NBA, 6 games last night. Couple of bad teams beating good teams. What's going on here? Utah went into Cleveland, beat the Cavs by 11. Utah 2 nights ago lost by 55. The Pacers aren't any good. They beat Boston 98-96. They've won 3 in a row. Luka at 42 and 9-30. Sacramento beat the Lakers 124-112. The Sixers were up 29 at the half in Toronto. Nice ovation for Kyle Lowry, who's now on the bench with the Sixers. Nick Nurse put him in the game. Of course, he used to coach Toronto. The two of them were there when they won the title 7 years ago. Yeah, nice moment. Sixers beat the Raptors 115-102. Clippers got 35 from Kawhi. James Harden is 9th all-time on the scoring list. Mark, OKC had Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook all at the same time. Durant's currently 7th on the all-time scoring list. Harden is 9th. They broke
Clippers
up
playing pretty good lately. They're still not technically in the playoffs, but to me, they're a team to pay attention to in the second half.
117-109 Clippers over Charlotte. Dallas beat Brooklyn 113-105. No ranked games in college hoops last night. We got golf news. Brooks Koepka reinstated 2 weeks after he applied for reinstatement by the PGA Tour. All the penalties, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, they're all financial. Now,
Every one of them.
It's a lot of money. He's got what, like a $5 million fine. He's not eligible for this. He's not eligible for that. He's not eligible for their, PIP program, which is a popularity thing, which is millions of dollars, potentially tens of millions of dollars. So, but
5 years of the player. I mean, they say he could lose between $50 and $85 million in earnings.
Right. But they hit him in the wallet, and what did he just get for the last 2.5, 3 years?
Oh, yeah.
Right. And the LIV. So they also, very interesting, they came up with this major champions eligibility rule in which, so we reinstated Koepka immediately, and we're willing to reinstate Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm, and Cam Smith immediately because they've all won majors since 2022. It's very interesting that they drew the line at 2022.
David, let me ask you, in 2021, who won the PGA?
That would be Phil Mickelson.
You got it.
Right. But remember, Tiger's running the PGA Tour, so Phil was not going to be made eligible. What's interesting is the Champions Tour could probably use Phil.
Probably.
But they didn't care. So Bryson, Rahm, and Cam Smith have 20 days. February 2nd, they have to decide whether or not they're leaving LIV and coming back or whether they're staying. That according to the PGA Tour.
We don't know what their penalties would be from LIV by leaving because they're still all under contract with LIV. Bryson's ends at the end of 2026. The other two apparently are in for a while.
Koepka had a year left on his contract. He asked out and they let him. So we'll see what, if anything, happens. And finally, quickly, the Rays apparently have a stadium deal shaping up in Tampa at Hillsborough College. It's near the airport in Dale Mabry. In other words, it's not too far from Ray J. We'll talk to JP Peterson about it in less than 2 hours. And it's 7 minutes before the hour. That was the starting five big stories you need to know, brought to you by Lee County, Florida. Building a better community through BST, business, sports, and tourism. 1 hour in the books. Thanks for joining us. Miller and Moulton. Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit leecountybusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah!
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Oh, there's no doubt. I think the Ybor City thing would have been really cool just because of the history of that area, but it's tough to get to. Parking's a you-know-what. I think from a convenience sake, I don't know if they could do much better.
How about the fairgrounds?
I don't know how easy that's to get to from, the south part of Tampa. I mean, this is easy
Right.
if you're coming from St. Pete. Fairgrounds aren't they pretty far? I mean, they're pretty far north.
Well, aren't the fairgrounds right close to the I-75, I-4?
Right, but
connection?
that's the north side
Yeah.
of Tampa. So I
I know.
don't know. I mean, I loved them, DTW. That's what Fedorov wore. They were awesome. We'll ask the expert in a couple hours. What's the matter with you, Canada Relief? If that's true, you're a sick individual.
Surprised you couldn't keep that one to yourself.
Well, not only with the Bucks EB, but with the strip joints. And I think it was Go Raiders about the Habs. They're battling Detroit right now, and the Habs, they just bother me. I love the unis, but they are French Canadian, and I've got my issues with everybody from Quebec.
Yes, he does. I think the only part of Quebec that he liked was the Nordiques.
Love the Nordiques. I want to go. I'd like to go back to Montreal. I'd like to go to Quebec City. I would like to visit that area. Ottawa looks beautiful too. Canada Relief, tell me, you know what? I've never been to Toronto for that matter. There's a lot of Canada I'd like to see. I've seen the cities I've seen in Toronto are dumps. I mean, I've been to Montreal, but it was kind of a quick in and out, and I didn't really do anything. That's where I've been, Canada. As a kid, I went to Niagara Falls, and that's a dump. I mean, the falls are beautiful, but the city, there's nothing to it. And I've been to Windsor because it's across either the bridge or the tunnel, whichever way you want to go.
When the Giants and Ravens played the Super Bowl in Tampa, we did a feature story for ABC7 on the strip joints across the street. My news director was not happy. I didn't tell him about it. I just ran it.
Miller and Moulton, hour 2, David. I don't know what happened, but nothing fired there. There's something amiss with the system there, it's probably on me. Something I will need to fix after the show. Son of a. Time to make a note. Fix Tuesday.
Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We don't have a poll question, do we?
Yeah, we do.
We do. What is it?
I told you. I said that should be a poll question. You said that's a good idea. So you know what I did? I put it up.
I said it was a good idea. I can't even remember what the question was.
What should a team trade to get Mike Tomlin as a coach?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's not a bad question.
I mean, this was only 30 minutes ago, David.
Oh, what can I type? Mark, sleep deprivation after Monday Night Football. And I got the best Monday night, Tuesday morning sleep all year. I got 4.5 rock solid hours before this show.
But those are your choices. First round pick, second round pick, third round pick, or my answer, I wouldn't trade for him. I don't trade for coaches. And my answer stayed the same. I'm consistent with that. But boy, if I'm Atlanta, I would really think about it. I really would. Of what's out there. And I know there are, you could get a young guy who's really good and maybe have him for a decade. But there are plenty of teams who have stunk for such a long time or have been inconsistent or have lacked discipline. And I think Atlanta seems to be a team with talent, and they're missing something. And could it be a head coach who's been there, done that? I would definitely think about it if I was Arthur Blank. That's for certain, David. But right now, I wouldn't trade for him getting half the vote. The next highest, by the way, 50% of you early on saying I wouldn't trade for him. 25% of you saying you'd give up a first rounder for him.
Aaron Rodgers doing postgame last night from the podium went on a little bit of a diatribe about just how different the league is now versus when he came in. And he had a pretty vigorous defense of the Mike Tomlins and Matt LaFleur's. He mentioned them by name. And he just said, to him, it's preposterous that teams are even thinking about getting rid of quality coaches like this. And he showed his dismay at the Twitterverse and about how that seems to be running, more than just the NFL right now. And he's not wrong, at least in terms of the Twitterverse running more than just the NFL. I mean, trust me, network TV executives pay way too much attention.
It is the most absurd thing to me in the world, because you and I are on it a lot, but we're on it for work. You and I are on it to find information.
Mm-hmm.
It's where many, whether a story is broke or a column is linked. So for David and I, and I will even say, when we do our fantasy football summit with Doc Roto a couple of years ago told everybody that's in fantasy football, and he's 100% right. If you play fantasy football, you need to be on X. You do. There's just information you're going to get first there. I've told people, I told my wife, she loves women's gymnastics. I said, go follow. You could follow 8 people on there. Follow a couple of Steeler beat writers that you like, and follow the gymnastics people, and you'll learn something, or you'll find out when things are happening, or read stories about what it is you like. But for the most part, it's media serving media. I mean, I follow a few of you. There have been a lot of people who follow David and I who are listeners of the show. I've followed a couple of you back. And that usually takes, after you sending things to me several times, and I go, this person's funny, or this person's interesting, or this person makes a good point. But I don't follow, the average Joe on there, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm on there to get information. So I follow beat writers from damn near every team in the league. Of every team, I follow a few more Red Wings people because that's a team that I like. I follow a few more Michigan State people because that's where I went to school. And obviously I follow a lot of Bucks and Dolphins and Lightning and Panthers people because we're in the state of Florida and do a show here, certainly with college football. But I don't get why network executives haven't figured out that it's media serving media.
Well, trust me, they haven't. They think the people who are the keyboard warriors are speaking for the masses. And trust me, networks make high-level decisions based on what they read on X. And not from media either. From what they read on X, from people listening to this show. And believe me, people who work in network television wish that wasn't the case, but they know how true it is. And it's not just one network that I speak of.
No.
It's all of them.
It's not at the local level, although it is at the local level. But David's talking about at the national level.
No. National level. Oh, no. They monitor it. They monitor it during games.
Monitor it.
Yeah. There's a better chance of a network TV executive monitoring the Twitterverse during the game than actually monitoring the game broadcast itself. So that's just reality. But what is college football, Mark, going to do about this reality? We mentioned it briefly last segment. College football has a problem. People are not watching their semifinals and their championship game nearly at the level that they are watching, well, the quarterfinals for sure. And in some cases, even some of the games leading up to that. Last year should have been the code red. Because last year, the Final Four was Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, and Notre Dame.
Now think about that.
That's 4 brands.
And particularly, you had one on each side. Notre Dame is a monster brand. Ohio State's the biggest brand in the sport.
Correct.
Nobody rates better than the Buckeyes. It's been that way for, David, a decade, maybe longer?
Yeah, there might have been a time early days that Nick was turning Alabama around. It was kind of 1 and 1A. But no, once Urban, won the 2014 title with Ohio State, Ohio State's basically been the biggest television draw in the sport for the last 12 seasons. And think about it. Last year, the championship game was Ohio State Notre Dame. And the game did less than the quarterfinals. So college football, and as we so fondly say, this is a TV show. First and foremost, this is a TV show. College football's got an issue. No other sport in their semis and finals have the ratings go down from earlier rounds. There's no other major sport where that's the case. So if you're college football, isn't it as easy as ending the season right around January 1st? I mean, isn't it?
David, I was just going to ask, is Dan Lanning right? He got up and made his pretty passionate speech during a presser that this thing should be over with on or about January 1.
Yeah, he was passionate about two things. He said, we should have been playing in Lubbock, Texas in the quarters. Texas Tech earned a home game here. They should have one. He said, we're glad we didn't have to, and we went to Miami, but we should be playing this game in Lubbock. And he said it before the game, not afterwards when it's real easy to be nice because you won. And then he said, what are we doing playing beyond January 1st? That's our sport. That's our timeline. What are we doing? And, I mean, that Miami Ole Miss game was sensational. And it was close throughout. I mean, it was sensational all four quarters. And Miami's a little bit of a brand. And as we've talked about, the SEC watches SEC teams play. And while chanting SEC during it. And it was the second lowest rated semifinal game that's been played in the 12 seasons that they've had more than a two-team playoff.
And I mean, think about it. Yeah, Ole Miss isn't a brand, but we talked more, and I don't mean Miller and Moulton, in the college football world and in the sports world. Ole Miss leapt into the front page or A block, whatever you want to call it, of the sports world because of the whole drama with Lane.
Yeah.
So Ole Miss had never been talked about more, ever, including Arch, including Eli. Never had they been talked about as much as they've been talked about in the last, month with what was going on with Kiffin. So everybody that follows the sport and follows sports for that matter was pretty aware that Lane Kiffin left Ole Miss right before the playoff and that there was a deal between, the president and Lane wanting to stay and all of that. We all know we don't need to rehash it. So you can't get talked about more than Ole Miss was heading into this postseason. And as David pointed out, Miami's a brand. So
if you're college football, by the way, the deadline to change the playoff in some way, shape, or form for next season is a week from Friday. They've kicked the can down the road about as far as they can, and the SEC and the Big Ten do not appear to be any closer to coming to an agreement as to what the format should be. So right now, expect it to be exactly what it is. 12 teams and no home quarterfinal games because the bowl system needs to be preserved.
And look it, first off, we have to get rid of this student-athlete myth. That's the first thing, because if you're going to play games, throughout December, what's the big deal? Because the NFL has proven that if you play games, first off, on Christmas, people watch, but you could play the Saturday before or the Saturday after Christmas and then play New Year's Day. You could do it. People would watch. They've been trained. But in January, they're not paying attention. Not to your sport. So something has to be done. Miller and Moulton. American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family-owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise at Seminole Casino Hotel. We're bringing you more with real cards and real dealers 24/7. This is the place where the action never ends. Now you can bet on your favorite team, roll the dice on craps, or spin the wheel for roulette. We've got your game. Plus, the Zigzag Girls Blackjack Pit features nonstop excitement and free drinks while you play. This is Seminole Casino Hotel, minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 to play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 2033-PLAY-WISE. Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise at Seminole Casino Hotel. We're bringing you more with real cards and real dealers 24/7.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I don't know what the hell's going on this morning. Why that commercial ran twice in a row is beyond me. Huh. All right. I think I fixed it. David, it's old, but have you seen the SNL clip? What's his name? Nate, and it starts with a B. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Burleson? Who?
No. SNL. Saturday Night Live, not Sunday Night Football. Has it been? I don't know how to say his name. Anyhow, where he's General Washington.
No, I haven't seen it.
I'm going to send you the two clips. David, they're two of the best skits I've ever seen. Bargetzi? Okay, is that thank you very much for the phonetic, because if you would have spelled it out, I would have botched it. There's two SNL ones. There's another that he does on stage. I've watched him twice and laughed as hard each time. Yes, exactly, Tim. There's two about basically, America. He's Washington during the Revolutionary War. And a third one that I've seen, it's on stage, where he's an angel when Jesus is being born and explaining Christmas. My goodness, are they funny. Actually, EB, it's far different. I don't think they're, and I'm not being a jerk here. I think it's now the results may be similar, but the information and the technology that meteorologists have is far superior to picking the outcome of a human event. But I get what you're saying.
Actually, EB Hill, it's a ton different.
No, results. Yeah, results. You're right on results. We've said it. Weathermen can get things wrong, and they don't get any grief. We get a game wrong, you tell us we're idiots. No. That part you're right on.
And what they do is science. And
when it comes to that particular person you're all talking about, your information that you have based on what I know is all completely wrong. But you can think what you want. It's not about either thing you said, Puck. I'm just telling you from what I know, it's not about either of those. And I'm not saying anything else because I don't know who's listening. Probably not, Wes. Probably not.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Bob Harig will join us next segment. Talk about the major goings-on on the PGA Tour yesterday, where they welcomed Brooks Koepka back in a way with open arms, and in another way in which they said it's going to cost you millions, tens of millions, maybe even 9 figures by the time you're done paying all the penalties, not just this year, but over the next 5 years. Now, of course, you know, what the elite players made leaving the PGA Tour, going to LIV, should they have the money in the bank? And also, I mean, what's it, a $5 million fine today, but that's the only money he has to take out of his pocket today?
Yeah. And it's to charity. So, I mean, it's not even a fine, I mean, you know, to the charity of his choice, by the way. So it's $5 million he gets to write off. I mean, you know, again, it's monopoly money to us at the end of the day. Couple of things. Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. The number's 21,000. If you've never texted the show before, you need to text the keyword Miller to 21,000. Miller to 21,000, and then you're in. Our poll question today is, what would you give up to trade for Mike Tomlin? First round, second round, third round, or I wouldn't trade for a coach. We got a text a while ago, and, you know, he points out not the obvious, but he does point out it's a great point. Broncos gave a first and a second for Peyton. Worked out well for them. Yes, it did. The Gruden trade to Tampa worked out well for them.
Well, so much so that people don't even remember what the Bucs gave up for Gruden. And they gave up a ton for Gruden. They gave up 2 1s and 2 2s over the span of 2-3 seasons for John Gruden. But guess what they got? They got a parade. That's it. That's it. The Falcons, Mark, have they ever had a parade?
No, they haven't. And right now, Patriot fans are all in their car yelling the score out at the radio or their phone or wherever they're listening to our show.
And Saints fans are as well.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Because the rivalry lives. Boy, does it ever.
But David, and we barely brought this up, but a couple of people have sent this text yesterday and today, and I do think we should spend a minute or two addressing it. And it says, you may have talked about this already, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Jacksonville's reporters' interaction with Liam Cohn after the loss. And we brought it up incredibly briefly yesterday. And it's still out there. I mean, journalists are still voicing their opinions of how this is the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of press conferences. For those that don't know, a lady who works for the Jacksonville Free Press, who's worked there for decades, was praising of Liam Cohn in the presser and told him to keep his head up and how proud she was of him and how great she thought the team did, and finished with a Duval. And it was 27 seconds, something like that. 27 seconds, I think, was the time that she spoke. And this apparently is the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of press conferences. Because you can't be a fanboy or fangirl in a presser. And she was interviewed by The Athletic about it. And
she was interviewed by a local Jacksonville television station about it.
She should have been, but I mean.
Right.
But she's not. I mean, did she break press code rules?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she did. I mean, no, was what she did appropriate form of behavior? No, it's not. Okay. Is it the end of the world as we know it? Apparently to some it is. And that's the part that I think you and I have a problem with. It's like, okay, she acted inappropriately. Of course, she acted inappropriately in the nicest way possible. Okay, as somebody who has lived and worked in Jacksonville most of her adult life, and she was trying to give the coach a pick-me-up. It's not the place for it. She was wrong to do so, but it was 27 seconds.
Get over
Move
yourself. Now,
Move
and the
on.
other side of it is, David, what time was that game played?
It was played at 1:00 on a Sunday, Mark.
Okay, so the press conference was somewhere between 4 and 4:30.
Maybe 4:30 and 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody that, if they wanted to have a problem with it, if there's anybody, to me, it would be the local television stations in Jacksonville who had a 5 o'clock newscast, which I don't think there's a lot of on Sunday, by the way, right?
I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody has a 5 o'clock. They have a 6 o'clock.
Okay. So even those folks that had a 6 o'clock newscast that may have to get back to the station to do some editing for their sports director, which, by the way, and in a town that has an NFL team, you're probably going to lead with the Jags. So if anybody had a problem with it, anybody, it's the local news people TV people in Jacksonville. The rest of you can blank off. And I'm serious. You don't have deadlines anymore. This isn't the newspaper days where you've got to have a story to an editor by a certain time, because there's this little thing now called, wait for it, the internet.
Now, I think, though, the national outrage is not deadline oriented, although I've seen a few people mention it, that something like this after like the Steelers-Texans game last night would be a problem. But to me, what the national media is harping on is that person basically, A, shouldn't be in the room, and B, should not be called upon for a question. Okay? That essentially, if they don't know how to act properly, then they shouldn't be there, or they shouldn't be allowed to participate. Okay? Listen, Mark, we've talked about this. The media is very fond of the media.
They are. And in the last few years, there have been plenty of coaches who have been asked things by professional media that have been way the blank out of line. That they've taken their own agenda to ask the coach a question. And sometimes the coach blasts them for it. And then who gets reprimanded? The coach. How dare you come after that media member? You folks in the media, and I guess I'm included, but I don't go to press conferences. I've always said I try to do entertainment. I'm technically in the media. I do this show. That's my length of media. I'm not in press boxes. I'm not covering games or teams. Should she maybe after the fact have tried to walk up one-to-one? I don't know what a relationship is with Liam Cohen, if she'd have ever been able to get up to say that.
Well, this is the other thing, is that you know who called on her? The head of the Jacksonville PR, who knows her. Why? Because she's there regularly. Here's the other thing. Do you know who's not there regularly?
The national media.
I mean, that was Nance, Romo, and Wolfson's first game in Jacksonville in 8 years.
And my guess is she knew more about the Jags than Romo did.
And so, you know, she was a human. She was a nice person. And what the national media said is that that's not allowed.
So there's our take on it. A lot of you have asked. We spent maybe 30 seconds on it yesterday, and I've seen a lot of texts and comments, so I just thought we'd go a little further today, David. I apologize to the national media for bringing this up today.
I mean,
lighten up, Francis, to quote a 40-year-old movie.
27 seconds.
Right.
27 seconds. I mean, really? But this is how sensitive the national media is. Politics, sports. Hey, national figures are too. Coaches, athletes, they're this sensitive too. Okay, they really are. But it's amazing to me that the national media couldn't just. I mean, remember, Mark, I told you the story about Larry Holmes' retirement press conference where he had a band and he sang? We all just ignored it.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
RCB. No, to my knowledge, no one said any, and they may have. Again, I'm not in the press room, but this all came mostly from people that weren't even in the press conference. It was people that then, because Schefter said nothing bad about it. He posted it, and he was pretty. I thought he seemed to think it was nice,
harmless. Yeah, I thought Dan Patrick's response was perfect. He said, is that appropriate? No. But did it hurt anyone? No. It's not a big deal. Oh, jeez. Yeah, but Deadstruck, I don't know that it's just the media. I mean, no offense. For 30 years, I've been reading listener and viewer comments. I know you guys hate the media because, we suck. Everyone sucks except you guys. Trust me, just listen to you guys. But
David, I think we've been wrong. Not wrong. We've missed something because we've always said NASCAR guy and hockey guy are the nicest media guys we deal with. You got to put the golf guy up there.
Well, you got to put Bob Harig up there.
Well, but Bob and Ron Syrak,
yeah,
and Whit Watson. I mean, our golf guys are all just wonderful human beings.
Even when Rex Hoggard comes on, Rex has always been good.
Yeah.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Pat Kirwan will join us then to talk all things NFL. JP Peterson, 1 hour from now, to talk the Rays Stadium situation. It looks as if they found a new home. We'll talk about it in depth. But Bob Harig is kind enough to join us right now. He covers golf for a living for Sports Illustrated. You can follow Bob on X at Bob Harig, Harig. Bob, it's been a while. We hope you've been well and your travels have been good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Good morning. I appreciate you having me on.
Okay. To the average fan who's engrossed in the football that's going on, and they missed the news yesterday, it was pretty seismic, wasn't it?
I'd say so. I think Brooks Koepka being admitted back onto the PGA Tour so soon is a bit of a surprise. It was just 3 weeks ago, right before Christmas, that he announced that he was leaving LIV, which, while there had been rumblings about it, was still a surprise because he had a year to go on his contract. That it's not like you just pick up and go. There had to be some negotiation, some way to get out of his last year. And, we know that the PGA Tour has kind of, they've had the mandate that you're not going to just come waltzing back to the PGA Tour. There's going to be some penalties to pay. And here we are a few weeks later, and boom, he's back in 2 weeks. He's going to have barely sat out any time. Yes, he's paying a hefty $5 million fine, which he certainly should be able to afford. A 5-time major winner, one of Liv's biggest stars, is back on the PGA Tour. It's I don't know how else you say it. It's a blow to Liv, and it's a nice get for the PGA Tour.
Before we address the PGA Tour, Bob, I want to talk Liv, because obviously there are 3 other names that are eligible, in DeChambeau and Cameron Smith and John Rahm. And do you sense that, because we know their pockets are deep and endless, but do you sense that they're getting sick of spending the money they're spending and maybe not getting the traction that they thought they would get?
I think that's fair. The word is they've cut way back on the signing bonuses for new players. And even for guys like, they've, like a guy like Dustin Johnson re-signed. It sounds like he had a 4-year deal initially. He re-signed. It'd be hard to imagine he got anywhere near what he got the first time around, which was believed to be $125 million. So did they give him something? Probably, but I can't imagine that it's that kind of a number again. And they've had some signings of players that are not really needle movers. And the word is they're just not getting anywhere near what guys were getting before. And so, yeah, they've kind of, tried to close the spigot a little bit. They've tried to cut some corners. There's certainly been some cost-saving measures that they've put in place. The big one now, though, you mentioned Bryson. He's got one more year. And I would think Bryson's got incredible leverage with Liv right now. They cannot lose him. I don't sense he's coming back to the PGA Tour this year. Like they've put this deadline of February 2nd for these other 3 guys to, take advantage of this path back for this year. I'd be surprised if any of them took it, especially Rahm, who's probably got a couple more years to go on his deal. But it does make you wonder, would Bryce be looking to come back next year if there was some sort of similar offer made? And what are they going to need to pay him to keep him? He's in an incredible spot right now because they don't want to lose him.
He's Bob Harig. He covers golf for a living for Sports Illustrated. You can follow him on X at Bob Harig, Harig. It's interesting that the PGA Tour said, okay, for you 4 golfers, we'll make the rules different, because it sounds like for anybody else on LIV who wants to come back, or anyone else who was with LIV and is no longer with them, that you guys still suck and we really don't want anything to do with you. And the road back is, I don't know. We'll get back to you.
Yeah, they clearly carved out a very specific niche. The 4 guys that they singled out here, look, they came up with a plan because they knew Brooks was available. And they just decided to make it about the 4 players who, since Liv launched, have won majors. Cam Smith, Brooks, Rahm, and obviously Bryson. Rahm did it before he went to Liv, and so did Smith. But, you could sell that as a okay, that's a viable thing that they've put in place. And the defense of that is those are the only guys who have status on the PGA Tour because of their major wins. If there was no Liv, they would be exempt players, 5-year exemptions for winning a major. I can't think of anybody else other than Mickelson, and Phil's a different case, who would have any exempt status on the PGA Tour, including Tyrrell Hatton, who's been gone long enough that his win on the PGA Tour would not give him an exemption. Now, he's a top 50 player. He'd probably be able to get into his share of events, but he wouldn't automatically be a member. So they can sell it like that if they wanted to. But they did it because they don't want to give the appearance that if I go to live right now, I can come back next year. You know, like I can go play there for 1 year. Oh, wow, now I can just go back. You know, they're laying down the law that, hey, no, you're not going to be able, if you go ahead, but you're not coming back next year. You know, if you win a major this year, would they let them back? Maybe. But, you know, some people are very critical of this. They think they've opened themselves up for a lawsuit because of it. You know, I say good luck to you on that. Maybe. You know, but I find it to be fairly shrewd that they laid it out like that.
Well, and certainly in the case of Mickelson, as you said, that's a completely different story. But how much, you know, we've talked about this before, Bob. Phil wasn't wrong about much about what he said. And the changes the tour has made is largely what Phil had talked about. And the other side of it is he's a Champions Tour player now. Wouldn't that tour benefit by having Phil play on it?
Yeah, it sure would. I mean, and you know, Phil is he would be an exempt player on the PGA Tour as a lifetime member. And when Phil left for LIV, he made the argument that, you know, given that his age at the time, players over 45 are not required to play 15 events. You know, by the letter of the law, he could cherry pick tour events and still played LIV if that had been allowed. You know, so, but I think it's deeper with Phil. You know, Phil was heavily involved in the creation almost of LIV. Obviously, the you know, the comments in 2022. You know, the time away. He's been highly critical of the tour. You know, I'm not so sure they're keen. I'm not sure Phil would want to come back, to be honest. But you're right. Some of the things Phil was saying 15 and 20 years ago are what you are seeing with the PGA Tour now. Phil believed there should be less tournaments so that all of the top players could play together more often. You know, if you shrunk it from 40 tournaments to 25 and everybody played 20, they're going to be spread across all 25 of those events, and those events are going to be better. And you won't have as many weak events. And his point, too, was put more of the prize money into that. Why are we subsidizing the average player? Now, of course, that was a somewhat selfish way to look at it for a star player, but that is what it's turned into. The signature events bring together most of the top players. They pay more money. And, you know, the stars are being enriched. It's become a PGA Tour for the stars. So, you know, Phil was not wrong about a lot of things. But obviously people are going to take issue with the way he went about it and the way, you know, this division occurred.
Well, and also it's a totally different way of thinking than what really the Jack and Arnie PGA Tour from 1969 through the 20-teens was all about, which is, you know, 100 top 150, et cetera, and now it's basically like top 75 or top 100 at most. Also, Bob, what events are going away? Like, obviously, we're in Florida. I think it's real easy to see Jack's event, if you will, the Honda, or what used to be the Honda, going away. People don't like the course unless it's a signature event. Nobody of note has played it for a long time, etc. Okay, they're going to start taking away what on the West Coast? Pebble? I mean, is San Diego? Seriously, I mean, that stuff's that goes back to Bing and Hope and Gleason in 50 years. I mean, what events are they taking away? The Minneapolis and the Detroit events have terrific corporate sponsorship, great crowds, okay, in the middle of summer. What events are they taking away?
Yeah, look, it's a very kind of nervy time right now because there's been a lot of talk about contraction, and they've shied away from it. I mean, I wrote about it this week already. You know, they're in Hawaii right now to start the year, and I think it might be the last time. I think
Farmers is done with their event in 2 weeks, and without a corporate sponsor, does that event go away? I mean, think about that. We're going to lose San Diego and Hawaii? Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to lose San Diego. I mean, but the idea of them not going to Hawaii, not going to San Diego, not going to Palm Springs, which is, the former home of the Bob Hope, that's concerning. And they've talked about cutting back to 22 events, not including the majors. So that would be 26 weeks. Well, if you started last week in the Century, that's 34 weeks through the Tour Championship. How are you going to cut out 8? That's what they're talking about, 8 weeks. So you'd cut off a month at the beginning, and they wouldn't be playing right now. And then you'd have to cut out some events during the season, off weeks during the year, which the old mantra was, if we don't stage the event, somebody else will. So if you do that, you are opening the door for someone else and possibly live. You might be giving them life. Now, I could see them cutting back a little bit at the beginning of the year. Let's be honest, playing this weekend against the NFL is not a very commercially viable idea. Even I'm watching the NFL. I cover golf for a living, and, the games this weekend I'm going to be interested in probably more than watching the golf. That's probably not ideal. But to cut back to the level they're talking about is definitely concerning. And now, do they have some bigger plan? Are they going to lean into the European Tour more in this part of the year? They do have a strategic alliance with them. Could they co-sanction over there? These are things that you wonder about, but there's no specifics on. And I'd be nervous if I were the Valspar, which is in my backyard. The Cognizant, as you mentioned, there's not going to be room for some of these tournaments if they can track to the level that we're hearing.
Bob, we've got about a minute, but, Tiger's obviously not necessarily running the tour, but it doesn't seem like they do anything without his blessing. He happens to own this little indoor event, the TGL. Is some of this self-serving for Tiger Woods and his side project?
It could be. I mean, it would open up some time in January for them a little bit more. I would, but, to me, that I'm not sure that's a great idea. The tour only owns 17% of TGL. Do you want to? Is that your end game? Is to give them a bigger window for a one-night TV show or 2 nights a week TV show over real golf? And I'm not disparaging TGL. I think it has a place. I think there's interest in it. It's some people really, really like it. That's fine. But I'm not sure you want to be carving out PGA Tour events for it.
Right.
I think that would be an interesting or, an odd way to go about this. But it's certainly possible. It makes you wonder.
He's Bob Harig. As he said, he covers golf for a living, and he does so for Sports Illustrated, SI.com. Follow Bob on X at Bob Harig, Harig. Bob, enjoy the NFL playoffs this weekend and safe travels.
Thanks so much.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you can be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This was coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit leecountybusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Good morning, Pat.
How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. We're back to home hockey games. Yep.
Now, obviously, you got to go back to New York this week and then to the championship game, right? So you only got 2 more weeks to travel. Oh, no. Then you really start going crap. Then you got Senior Bowl, Super Bowl. You go nonstop for a couple of weeks.
It's kind of like a run around the country thing. Yep. Get my voice going here.
Pat, I was thinking about you this morning when I was driving into work, when I left my house, and it was just so effing gorgeous out. The temperature's perfect. I'm like, man, I want to do my show from Pat's studio today.
Well, there you go. Anytime you want. I have a mixer I could bring down here so we can sit here and do it. Yep. It is beautiful. And it's a funky sky. It almost has like a little bit of a rainbow in it.
I'll tell you what. Well, you don't care because you go to the damn rink in shorts, so you'll be a little chilly Friday afternoon doing that show because temperatures are dropping this week.
Is it supposed to rain Thursday?
Yes.
That's my golf day with the guys down here. And of course, as soon as the game ended, this is classic West Bay guys. I get 2 calls like as soon as the game ends with Buffalo winning, and they live here, they're Buffalo fans. Okay, hey, you want to play golf this week? I go, yeah, I get it. I have to sit here and tell you how great the Bills are. Sure, I will. And they will not stop. They'll probably come in Buffalo Bills clothes.
I got a good buddy who's a big Bills fan, but he could come do this show. He's as knowledgeable of a sports person as I've ever met. And I waited for about 30 minutes after the game because the Bills and the Yanks are his 2 big teams. And I waited for about 30 minutes and I said, so can you breathe yet? And he's like, yeah, barely.
Oh, they are in another place.
So are you on site?
Not this week, next week.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. No. CBS actually lives with a budget. Fox does not.
It's very true.
Yeah, which is okay. Believe me, for me and for Cower and, well, formerly Matt Ryan, we kind of liked a few trips, but we didn't like a lot of nutty things. Yeah. It's interesting. They somehow got me involved in conversations about replacing Matt, which is fine. They know I interview a lot of guys. I said, you got to tell me your rules before we go any further. Does it have to be a quarterback?
Yeah, Austin Eckler.
Yeah, I would love to do that, but they won't do it.
No, I know. Man, I told you when I heard that interview, I'm like, man, is he good on air?
Yep, he's got it.
No doubt. All right, here we go.
Hey, how about Rick Neuheisel? He's going to coach in the spring league and has kept his Sirius job and his CBS job.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home on this Tuesday, although it's final hour of the show in Live Oak Lake City and surrounding areas, Port Charlotte, Venice and surrounding areas. Miller and Moulton, MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Pat Kirwan joins us every Tuesday at this time. Weekdays, 3 to 7. He hosts NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, co-hosts it with Jim Miller. And on Sundays, he's part of CBS's NFL Today show, although that show will air Saturday because CBS has the first divisional playoff game, Bills and Broncos, 4:30 Eastern this Saturday. Pat joining us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Good morning, Pat. How are you?
I'm doing well. Getting ready to complain, though, since
Why?
you brought up the schedule. Well, Buffalo, Houston, and San Francisco. This leads to we do not need a Monday night playoff game. On week 18, we cancel Monday Night Football, but we get to the playoffs. We screws up. Buffalo, Houston, and San Francisco are getting 4 days at home. Day 5 is travel, and day 6 is the game. There is no reason to be doing that, and we are. Now, it worked out okay for the Rams. They're going to have 6 days at home, a travel day on 7, and a game on 8. That's fine. But why are we playing wild card games on Monday night and doing this to the schedule? It's not very hard to fix, and it's just ridiculous that we're going to do this. It's hard enough. But by the way, wasn't it great that 4, I'll call them road teams, they were wild card teams, won? David, you're the historian. How many times do we see that?
Not very often, but then again, you had numerous road teams that were either pick'ems or favorites. I mean, hell, you had a 10.5 point road favorite. So,
and I guess this is their answer to solving the inequity of using division champs for home games. That's my favorite pet peeve. What was Carolina doing with the home game? Come on.
Well, they almost won it, though. 3 lead changes in the 4th. It was a hell of a football game. I mean,
those refs did a heck of a job. When it was 17-7 and they were marching down for 24-7, the flags kept flying. I was like, they're not going to let this thing get out of hand.
All right.
And the other thing, one more complaint. Why is the public allowed in to hear Ben Johnson talk to his football team?
Whoa. The Bears released that. Okay.
Yeah.
They sent that out. If the league's got a problem with it, call the Bears.
Mm.
And why does anybody have a problem with it anyhow? I'm sorry, Pat.
Exactly.
You know what? It's the oldest rivalry in the damn sport. You know what every Bears fan hates? The effing Packers. So get over it.
Why does a guy have to, they force him, he didn't do it too. I was proud of him. You have to apologize? No way. This is where the public is way out of bounds because they can't handle hearing how men talk to men in those kind of moments. I was very disappointed that And I'm glad Ben didn't really apologize.
We've had, because I follow the Lions, Dan Campbell, they've released a lot of stuff during the year. Leon Cohen was great. He had a lot of F-bombs, during the regular season. We've heard this, but apparently in the playoffs, it's a problem. The biggest games of the year, get over yourself.
Thank you.
All right.
And I don't think they deserve to hear a lot of things that go on.
That you're right, but I will say as a fan, because I'm right on that bridge because I'm not covering teams or games. I love the insight that we get from that. I want more of it, but people need to lighten up. Miller and Moulton, and I think you two, maybe the same or at least a lesser extent, are kind of big on taking the points, kicking the damn field goal. Jacksonville, I think, needs to learn some lessons from kicking a field goal when they were up 7-3. But, Pat, I just did the numbers before you came on, and I wish they told me a different story. Fourth down conversions in Wild Card Weekend were 15 of 29. This trend's not going away.
Oh, I never said it was going away. But you know who's going to go away? Coaches that abuse that. Because there are consequences to it. Who's the only team that didn't go for it on fourth down? The 49ers. They didn't go for it. And Chicago wins by going 2 for 6 on it. You're playing Russian roulette with it. And I'm not old school. Take the points. Because if you look at some of these things, you realize the points are important. And here's what's the unmeasurable reality. And I'm actually quoting Cower on this. You risk switching momentum. When you go for it and don't make it, certain teams, especially young ones, have a hard time comprehending the loss of momentum.
Well, that's a sore subject with us. We don't believe in it. We think it's pixie dust. But 99% of those involved in sports do, including the coaches and the players. So therefore, even though we think it's fake and non-existent, it's real because they believe it.
The losing teams before last night, I didn't have time. The losing teams went for it 15 times and made 7, and they all lost. So who wants to argue numbers? The winning teams went for it 11 times and made 6.
Also, we should break it down, if it's 4th and 1 versus 4th and everything else.
Well, and I think we should break it down first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. Fourth quarter, I get it. I mean, it may be necessary in the fourth quarter. In
2-minute drills all have fourth downers. But how about in your own territory? Want to break it down even further?
Yes.
What is that all about?
Well, it's insanity, quite frankly. And I felt, and I know Bears fans going to be angry with me, but I thought your coach was reckless. I thought he was out of his mind, quite frankly. And I was hoping that Green Bay was going to hold on and win so that maybe Ben Johnson, because quite frankly, he got away with stuff that he shouldn't have gotten away with. And so now he's going to continue to do it. And I kind of feel like Ben Johnson is becoming Dan Campbell. Dan got away with stuff 2 and 3 years ago that he probably shouldn't have gotten away with, and it's made him reckless, and now it's beginning to really cost him. And at some point, and it may not be this year's playoffs, although remember, when did it come back and bite Dan? In the NFC Championship game, okay? And that's my fear, that it's going to come back and bite Ben in a really big spot, and he's going to say, well, we always play like this. And my answer would be, well, maybe we always shouldn't.
And doesn't it make you think, fellas, that when Dan Campbell wanted to go for it and he had Ben on his staff, Ben was going, yeah, do it.
Totally.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. They were in lockstep with that. I'm with you 100% there, Pat. All right. Looking forward, I know we'll have you on Friday again, but I'm just curious because I know you talked to Dr. Chow yesterday and I did not hear it. Stafford hurt his hand. Allen looks like he's banged up. I know there are other injuries, but let's talk about those two quarterbacks. Are we comfortable with these guys for this week?
He said he is, but he also recognized in the case of Allen, there's multiple things that could be problems. The knee could be a problem. The foot is still a problem. He dodged a bullet on the head. But how much do they practice? I don't think they need to practice very much. I think for our friend Stafford will be fine. That was his opinion. And we did talk about how to grip the football and how much more important the middle finger is on the ball than the index finger, although that was his opinion. It wasn't mine. I think both guys will be able to go. But I don't know. You guys, we see a lot of football, the three of us. How many times can Josh Allen dodge the bullet of a physical beating? And again, I go back to the beginning, and only 4 days at home before he's got to travel again.
Well, it is remarkable. I mean, it just is, for the beating that he takes and for how much what they ask of him is needed, or else they would not be able to compete at the level that they are. And he continues to be healthy enough to perform at a Superman level. It's remarkable. I think we all know at one point he's going to suffer a major injury. But then again, some guys have suffered it standing in the pocket. Many guys have suffered it just standing in the pocket. So, when it happens, it happens. But
here's my regret, which I said on the air yesterday. I regret I did not vote for him for the MVP. He was third on my list. We had to pick 5. When I watched the game, and it wasn't about the game, it was just a reminder of he's the most important player on any team in this league.
Yes, he is.
And I did not vote for him, and I'm mad at myself for doing it. It won't happen again.
Because if he got hurt and was unable to play, they'd go 6-11, wouldn't they?
Yes. And it's remarkable how one person over now a long period of time carries a full football team on his shoulders.
All right, Pat. I think we believe this play will all be banned in the offseason, but I got a text after the best push tush in the history of the play that the buddy of mine's like, I hate this play. And I'm like, and it should be banned. I'm like, it was the best one I've ever seen. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. Do you think because I think Philadelphia is one of those teams that is one of the good teams. I know we hate the Cowboys and maybe the Chiefs because of their success recently, but I think people by and large from coast to coast don't like the Eagles, and therefore their tush push bothered people more than others. We like the Bills. We like the Mafia. We like Josh Allen. So is that tush push going to help the play's cause or hurt it even more, given the fact a lineman carried him down the field for 5 damn yards?
He did go airborne too, which was amazing. I think it has to be banned because if you just follow the rules, we're assisting.
Thank you.
We don't need to put team names in this. We need to look at what we think are the rules and then follow the rules, and that should lead you to goodbye.
You think it'll happen? You think they've got the 2 more votes?
I don't know that yet. I'll call you from the owners' meetings before the vote.
Right, okay. Because Buffalo voted to ban it, and it's benefiting them. So does their vote flip?
Yeah. Well, I will say this, as you said, Mark, it was one of the great tush pushes of all time. And I'm getting off a jet yesterday at RSW, and my wife pulls up, and the car in front of her, which you know how when you can't get out because they're all clogged up? You know what the car's license plate said? New Jersey, tush push. I was like, it's everywhere.
That's a Southern Jersey car then, because they're Eagles fans. He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. Joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. Pat and all our guests joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline, your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. leecountycc.com. CCC 1332512.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit leecountybusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Ba-dum-ba-dum-bum.
I'll tell you what, though, I know, I mean, we didn't really get into it with you here. David might want to talk about it, but now, both ones playing Saturday doesn't make sense. But, David and I have had a philosophy on this show for at least 15 years. It's a TV show, and that's what they care about. They set it up to get the best numbers they can get.
Yeah, and we're at the point where, honestly, as long as you're not using the streaming services, you're going to get big numbers.
Well, and look at the game they gave to the streaming service, too. I mean, Packers-Bears, that's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
The Bears rate. I mean, they do. You know that.
And at that game, did you see the technology problems? It was freezing.
I didn't have many problems.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I was mad, but I deserve what they get. But you're not using the streaming services this weekend.
Right.
So what are we doing here?
It's funny. We were talking about it earlier. The Miami Ole Miss game, the best of the two games, had the second worst rating in college playoff history.
Yep.
Think they might want to move their games to December and finish this whole thing New Year's Day?
Yeah. Yep. But there's no talking to these guys. They think they have all the answers. They don't. I sit at CBS and I hear what goes on, and they paid an awful lot, those streaming services, and they act like, and this is my favorite, the NFL, they think they're ahead of the curve, that there's this little growth period and pain, but then the streaming services will dominate the networks. They're never going to dominate free radio, free television, free anything.
It's funny because, and I know we don't get as many people listening to radios as they once did, and people take in our show different ways than they always did. But, you still have, 89% of the people that are listening to the radio in their car. And I know people listen to podcasts. I get it. And the same thing with but streaming's, it's just, you got to have so many damn services. I just had to get Peacock so I could watch my Michigan State basketball team play. And I'm like, that's another $15 a month you're forking out.
Yeah. And you're going to leave some percentage of the audience behind that can't do it. And they don't want to hear about that. No, it's a disgrace. Hey, I love saying this, 4 defensive head coaches left out of the 8. 4 defensive guys. Because a week after these games are over, it's going to be, you got to hire an offensive guy for the quarterback. You do? No, you don't. You got to hire a leader of men. And we got McDermott, D'Amico, Vrabel, and McDonald. Leader. And they don't do bad coaching quarterbacks, do they?
Man, watching Houston, I asked David, I said, is it that fast in person? Because, man, do they look fast on TV defensively.
They do.
Wow.
Now, we're going to see if Cowher's right. Defense will get you deep into playoffs, but you're going to need a quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
Well, then the guy who showed up last night for Houston, he was a mess. It's funny, the acquisitions that end up paying off. Christian Kirk had been in the witness protection program for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Until last night.
Yep. I'm with you on that.
And remember, under Doug Peterson in 2022 and the first half of 23 till he got hurt, Christian Kirk was a huge part of the Jags. And he got hurt, and they suffered.
Yeah, which leads me to Nico Collins.
Yeah. And
what happened?
Well, the concussion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's amazing, Dr. Moulton. I've come to the conclusion that postseason concussions recover faster. It's January air.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Our remaining moments with Pat Kirwan. NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, CBS's NFL Today show. Pat joins us courtesy of Pinchers. Pat and all our guests join us on the American Paint Supplies hotline. All right. Listen, you know the Steelers organization very well.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, they have not had the stomach for what it now seems is so apparent of what it is they need to do. They need to tear it down. They've been trying to retool on the fly. They can only get to the 9 or 10 win level. Maybe they make the playoffs. Maybe they don't. They don't win playoff games. That's all they've been able to do for almost a decade now. Do you think Mr. Rooney will actually live by his own words? Because a year ago he said, I can't live with us being in this world. We need to get better or we need to make changes. Well, changes involves half the roster. Do you think the Steelers have the guts to do it?
Only with the new coach and the perception of change would be broadcast to the fan base that we're going with another young coach like they did with Cowher and Tomlin.
And Noel.
Yeah. And they need to do that to start the overhaul. And it's okay to, and I say this a lot, and I've said it on this show, it's okay to rebuild as long as you admit it to your fan base. When you don't admit it to them and they figure it out themselves, they're not happy. Just say, hey, we've tried this and now it's time. And I think the Steeler fans will swallow the pill and be okay with it.
Okay. Now, Tomlin obviously could walk into the broadcast booth and rumors have been out there. But we asked the question today as a poll question, and I'll ask you, Pat, would you trade for Tomlin? And I'm not someone that would trade for a coach, but the team that David brought up, and I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm sure there are others that you could name, is Atlanta. I mean, there are a bunch of teams out there that would kill for 9-8, 10-7, making the playoffs virtually every year. When you see Tomlin, do you see him as someone, if the Rooneys and Tomlin sat down and said, it's time for a change, do you want to go somewhere else? Tell us where it is and we'll trade you. Could you see them trading Tomlin, and who should go after Tomlin if he's available that Tomlin would want to go to?
Well, I think it's time for him to move on. So we'll start with that. And I think he might conclude that as well. If he was given the choice where it's only a team that I want to go to, fine. I think they could work out something. Don't ask for a lot for him. We're not in that world right now. The John Gruden stuff is over. The owners came and got John. That's not the way this would go. So who should want to do it? someone like Miami, who they got a decent roster. I'll tell you, he's a good recruiting tool. Even though they haven't delivered, he is a good recruiting tool. Players, whether we think so or not, like playing for Mike. And he could help. Now, Dennis Green landed up in Arizona, right? I don't know that he'd want to go to Arizona. He has a son that lives in Los Angeles now. He might like to be out there and away from Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh is a small town in a lot of ways. And I don't think it's a very comfortable place to be right now if you're Mike Tomlin. So I think he's going to want to go. If you have a team that you think's the perfect fit, I'd like to hear it. But I think there's a couple places that would look at him as, we're proving to our fan base we're trying to get better.
What's missing in Green Bay? Because first off, they've had almost a generational run of either underperforming in the playoffs or really bad losses in the playoffs. Lately, you go back the last 4 years, they're no better than the 7 seed, and that's if they make the playoffs. Or do you say, listen, we figured it out. We were 9-3-1 when Micah got hurt, and then we lost 5 in a row. We get our best receiver healthy. We get Micah healthy. We roll it back out. Where are you on Green Bay?
I think what you just described is Green Bay, and I think they will see it that way, that we're not going to panic here. The question is, what kind of contract are they offering the head coach? And everyone thinks the club's got the driver's seat, which they do. But I'll ask you, David, if the coach says, I'm not interested in a short-term deal, so I think I'll just play this out, that could change and maybe create some leverage for Matt to be in charge of how this is going to go. But I do think they're conservative enough that they're not going to flip out and run everybody off. And I don't think Mike, personally, is the guy for that place. I don't. I think it's another small town. And I'm telling you, from what I know, it's been a little rough living in Pittsburgh if you're Mike Tomlin.
I can imagine that, having a family that's from there. I know exactly what you speak. Justin Herbert, I know their offensive line was banged up. I know that there were a lot of injuries there, and that team wasn't what they were at the beginning of the season. But I guess my counterpoint to that is neither San Francisco, and yet they maintain winning. When you look at Herbert and his game and the lack of offense against the Patriots, how much of that do you put directly on the QB?
Well, I'll say this first. The head coach doesn't put much on him, right? The head coach sees him as the only answer we have to an opportunity to ever win a Super Bowl. Yesterday, I got too many calls of, he's just like Josh Allen. He is not just like Josh Allen. And he's not a mini version of Josh Allen. He's Herbert. He's a good player. He has not been able to deliver. David's point about delivering in the postseason. What is he, 0-3 now in his opportunities?
He is.
So I think he's a talent. I'd trade a lot of quarterbacks to have him. But I thought the message from the head coach at the end of the game was more a direct shot at his OC and how the offense is going. And I think that and it was weird because they were known as a run team. We all know that the guy they hired is a run guy. They came out of the blocks this year and became a pass team. We talked about it the month of September. Wow, they're expanding things. And then ultimately, to your point, Mark, about Hampton, what did he play? One play or one carry for 1 yard? So if they're going to be a team that likes to run the ball, they're going to need a bigger stable of good backs. So I don't know. I don't think anything bad's happening there, but Justin, I always look at life through the lens of New York. When I'm in New York, if you were in New York and you had a quarterback with all that talent, but he was 0-3 in the postseason, and he's always a wild card, they'd be all over that. They would show no mercy there. He's not in that environment, so I think he's protected pretty nicely, and I probably would protect him too.
Got about a minute. the Eagles.
Ugh.
Is it, hey, new offensive coordinator, that when Sirianni has the wrong coordinators, they go out in the first round. When he has the right coordinators, they go to the Super Bowl. Is it simple, replace the OC with Brian Dable or Cliff Kingsbury and they go back to the Super Bowl next year? Or what are you thinking?
Well, I definitely think the OC will be the fall guy. I don't think they are going to fire Nick. And I think the general manager likes having Nick right where he has him.
He sure does.
Okay, so that's important in the structure to answer your question. So the OC will be the fall guy. And then I'll ask you, David, during that game, did you ever stop and think maybe the GM in Tennessee was right when he traded Brown?
Well, no, because the first couple of years A.J. Brown was in Philly, he was tremendous. But clearly it's time for him to go. And listen, the Chargers should line up. The Patriots will line up. Vrabel loves him, and he loves Vrabel. I mean, we got 10 seconds, but it's just time for – he's a diva wide receiver, Pat. It's time for a new home.
Yes. Time
Huge
to move
cap
on.
it. Huge cap it.
Yeah, well, they're pretty good with the cap. They know how to steer money around. I think that team is a year away from an overhaul.
Interesting. He's Pat Kirwan, NFL Radio's Move of the Chains, CBS's NFL Today Show, joining us once again, courtesy of Pinchers. Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com, CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yinzer, do you want him gone? I may have asked you that before, but I'm just curious. I know there's not, you're the number one diehard Steeler fan in our chat room. Do you want him gone? I know my brother-in-law does.
Yinzer, can we be really honest with one another? I have enough respect for you. You have enough respect for us. Really honest with each other. You think the grief that Cowher got for an hour and a half when they had a 7-9 and 6-10 season is the same grief that Tomlin gets when he's never had a losing season? Or do you think Pat was alluding to something else?
Gee, David, what are you trying to say? I can't even get it out of my mouth.
Yinzer, come on now. Come on now. Let's be really honest with one another.
By the way, quick sidebar, David. So do you subscribe? You subscribe to Plus still. And it doesn't matter to you because you have one television per room, but you know my setup. Right. You can't watch 2 ESPN Plus games at the same time in the same house. Like I have 3 TVs and I was trying to watch 2 hockey games the other night and I can't. So I didn't even realize there was a little line brawl in the Flyers Lightning game last.
Oh yeah.
I just saw the highlights. I love it.
Yeah.
This is a rivalry. If you were to pick, now I know Tampa fan right now will tell you the Florida Panthers, and I get it, and they're right. But if you ask a generational Lightning fan who they hate the most, I think it's the Flyers.
For 25 years, it was the Flyers.
Right. It wasn't the Rangers.
It wasn't the Panthers.
It wasn't and the Panthers weren't good, so I get it. It was the effing Flyers. And it was a good little rivalry. But Yinzer, you know what we're getting at as to why Tomlin gets the grief he does. There is no more small town-esque than Pittsburgh and a little bit of their mentality. Ooh. Thank you, RCB. That's exactly what we were getting at. Come on, JP. Where are you, my man?
Here he is.
Thanks, my man. How are you, JP?
What's up, boys?
Here we go. Thanks so much.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes to the top of the hour. He's about 82 minutes away from his show. Weekdays, 10 to noon Eastern. FanStream Sports, FanStream Sports app, FanStreamSports.com, and YouTube. He's the gentleman that we believe does the best job covering the Tampa Bay sports scene, newspaper, TV, radio. He's JP Peterson, host of The JP Peterson Show. Follow him on X at JP Peterson Show. Good morning. We know you're driving. Be careful. How are you?
What's up, boys? How we doing this morning?
Well, we're doing very well. It appears as if the Rays are going to have a new home. How confident are you this deal is going to go through, and tell people where and what the deal is?
Well, as we've been reporting for a couple months, as it became clear what the intentions were for this new group, Hillsborough Community College across from Raymond James Stadium looks like that's going to be the spot. Some of the employees have already been told that the parcel's being sold. There's a board meeting coming up on the 20th where I think they're going to announce that officially. So HCC is the spot, and now it's a matter of getting the financing done through Hillsborough County, which they had a meeting yesterday, I believe, with Ken Hagan. They hired Joe Lopano last week, who has been an airport executive for many, many years. Obviously, this parcel is right next to the airport. So all arrows pointing towards HCC and a sports complex now for Tampa Bay, where they have the football stadium and a baseball stadium right across the street, an entertainment district, residential, commercial, all around it. That's the play. That's where it's going to be, and away we go.
All right. The fairgrounds were talked about. Ybor City a long time ago was talked about. While that would have been cool, but parking's a mess down there. We know that. We don't even live there. So from a standpoint of the best spot, the best location for the entire Tampa-St. Pete area, is this it, JP?
Well, I mean, it's all how you perceive it, right? I mean, I think Ybor City would have been great just in terms of the history there. It's just kind of a cooler place. Downtown on the water would have been very iconic. But there's a lot of other factors that go into it. And I think the biggest factor right now is the HCC property is the biggest parcel they could find. It's basically shovel ready. Most of it is parking lot. So when you're talking about a 2029 timeline, I think a lot of those things really went into it. And again, is it a perfect location? Look, it works for football, obviously. The infrastructure is already there in terms of roads. If you can get 65,000 people in and out of Raymond James Stadium in a timely manner, I don't think anybody really can. I mean, obviously, you get 65,000 people, you're going to have some traffic, right? But is it ridiculous? No, everybody pretty much handles it really well. Nobody complains for the most part. So, that works. And you're talking about baseball. So those crowds are, 1/3 of that, 25,000 most nights, what it's going to be. So I don't think there's going to be a problem. But people will always bitch, right? But I think it's, with all the things that have gone into it, I think it's a great spot. I think you can work some light rail into there to serve both of the stadiums, which I think they're going to do something from downtown to the airport. So there's a lot of pluses to it, some minuses. Some people say, it's such an ugly area. Well, not when they get done developing 100 acres of it. It's going to be beautiful. Everything's going to be new, and it's going to be fantastic. So I'm looking forward to it. The big translucent roof dome right there next to Raymond James Stadium sounds pretty cool to me.
Is the community college going to go away, or is it just going to be cramped and they're going to have parking for 17 people?
No, it's just, listen, it's an old facility for the most part anyway. Like I said, it's mostly parking lot, pickleball courts, and tennis courts. They'll reload. They have 5 other campuses of Hillsborough County. We're not moving Harvard Yard here. Okay, the Times did an article about the history of HCC and this beautiful camp. I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? It looks like an abandoned mall. It's terrible. It's an eyesore for the most part. They've got 5 other campuses. I'm not sure, but I had heard somebody mention that there's 2 not brand new, but newer buildings there that will I think they're going to keep there as kind of a hub, and there'll be still a satellite campus there, but I'm not certain of that. But the bottom line is they have 5 other campuses. That's not going to be a problem.
All right. For a certain part of our audience, and probably yours, JP, there's probably one pressing question that we need to get to. How will this affect the adult entertainment district on Dale Mayberry?
Well, I happen to know some of those people. I know you find this shocking. I know.
I do.
But yeah, they're pretty happy about the whole thing. It's probably going to increase their business a tad. So yeah, nobody's worried about that. But hey, we're Tampa Bay. It's always been part of our culture, right? So why not? If you're going to have a sports complex, you might as well have the strip clubs right next door.
JP Peterson, host of the JP Peterson Show. It is 10 to noon Eastern weekdays. FanStream Sports, FanStream Sports app, FanStreamSports.com, YouTube. Follow JP on X at JP Peterson Show, JP Peterson Show. All right, financing. I've noticed that the Rays haven't spent much money this offseason, and I wonder how much of it is tied to the fact that, well, they got to build a stadium. So they're getting the land for free, right?
Looks like it. Yeah, the state. It's going to be some type of land swap or something. That's why this is another reason this is the spot. With we talked about this when this whole thing was going down. It was one of the key reasons that MLB wanted this group, because they were so politically connected in Tallahassee, in Hillsborough County. Obviously with Fred Ridley at the chairman of Masters. They're really locked into a lot of big money people who really care about Tampa Bay. There's a lot of limited partners that are part of Tampa Bay that have been here a long time. So that's going to help in getting the public financing. I think you get the land for free, you get infrastructure that'll be thrown in, and then there's going to be a huge investment from the team, not only in the stadium, but in the surrounding development. Like Jeffrey Vinnick did Water Street. This is going to be something very similar for the Rays, and they're going to make money obviously off of it's a real estate deal above everything, honestly, and that's where they're going to make a lot of their money. Now, how much of it is public money? How much of it comes from special taxing districts? I think that's the devil's in the details, but I think there's a lot of political capital here, and there's a lot of good things going on, synergies in this area, and they should be able to get it done. We'll see.
And by get it done, we're talking about opening day 2029, right? So we're talking about 3 years and 2 months, right?
Hey, the Braves built their stadium in about 2.5 years, from shovel to opening day. Now this one's going to have a roof, so that's obviously adds time and cost to it. But yeah, I think it's doable. It's doable. It's ambitious. I think the key here is to get the financing done in the first quarter of 2026. That's been their goal. And if you have a year-long delays and votes and all this shenanigans, that's going to push it back. So, political expediency here is going to be very, very important. The future mayor, it looks like the odds on is Bob Buckhorn, our former mayor, seems to be very enthusiastic about this project. Obviously, now, if he's going to be mayor, it'll be part of his legacy, which maybe, previously that wasn't the case. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of political will here to get it done.
All right, switching gears to the team that plays hockey. They're killing it right now, but unfortunately, Braden Point got hurt last night, was taken off the ice. I mean, this might affect his Olympic team play. It could affect the Lightning. What do you know about Point? And obviously, what turned the corner for the Lightning? Because they weren't playing poorly, but they're red hot right now.
Well, first, Braden Point, obviously I don't have an update on that, but it did not look good. He couldn't put any weight on it as he got taken off the ice, and just watching the way the defender just crashed into his knee. For a football fan, you've seen this with offensive linemen when they get hit from the side. It usually means an MCL or ACL. We don't want to speculate, but that's usually what it means. It's just a matter of severity now. How bad is it? We won't know probably till the swelling goes down, and then we'll see. It didn't look good. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But, the good thing is this year has been remarkable, and that it doesn't matter who's playing. If Hedman, McDonough, if Hagel was out for a while, it doesn't matter. They just keep winning. And this recent stretch obviously has a ton to do with Kucherov. It was just smoking hot. He's averaging about 2.19 points per game over his last 40 games. And he's been the number one star the last 2 weeks. It might be 3 weeks in a row. But I spoke with someone within the organization last week, and we had a long conversation about this whole turnaround. It was kind of interesting because when they started so slow, they were like, are we old? Did we suddenly get old and slow? What's going on here? They didn't even know. And it kind of was, they started a little late. They didn't have their legs. They weren't really in shape. And they were playing poorly and getting bad bounces. And it just kind of fed on itself. And when Hedman went down and and McDonough and Chernak, they called up these young defensemen and they simplified everything. They said, we're just going to keep it really, really simple. And when you have the offensive talent that the Lightning have, it really fits their game. If they're not making high-risk passes and playing high-risk hockey and turning it over, and that was turning into goals, they're really hard to beat. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise that these young kids came in. They simplified everything, took all the risk out of their game, and became a counterattacking team. And they've been fantastic because they're not allowing easy goals now. They're going to average 3.5 goals, almost 4 a game, and that's a recipe for winning in this league.
JP, Dusty Baker has a quote that I've latched onto from years ago in which he said, it takes veterans longer to get locked in, but when they get locked in, they stay locked in longer. And I sense, Vassie was off to a really rough start. Hedman off to a really rough start. It seems as if, for whatever reason, the veterans, October was too early. They needed mid-December.
Yeah. And, when you got a team like this where nothing really matters but the playoffs, right? They've been there 12 of the last 13 years. It just matters what happens when you get to the playoffs. And 3 straight first-round exits, it just becomes a matter of, we really don't care about the regular season except to get into the playoffs, get into the tournament, and be healthy and ready to go. Healthy was an issue last year. And obviously the Florida Panthers were an issue last year. So I hope, frankly, I'm not afraid to see the Panthers, but I'm just done with that whole shenanigans. I just like the Lightning, to be able to get into the playoffs and play hockey and not worry about headhunters on your best players. And I think they'll really thrive in that arena. So we'll see. They got to get there first, but I think right now they've really found their jam. They found their mojo. And if they stick with this type of philosophy, and when Hedman and Chernak and McDonough come back, they better not screw it up.
Well, it's funny. I don't know if Hedman's their best defenseman anymore, and I'm not saying that to be mean. I actually think that could be a good thing, because if Hedman's your number 2 or number 3, look out. Last question for you, JP. We've got about 2 minutes. Who do you want as the OC? I mean, the coaching change isn't going to happen, so I'm not even going to take you there. But from an OC standpoint, what are you looking for the Bucks?
Just as a quick aside, I had a conversation with someone inside the Bucks organization and last night, and just from a bowl standpoint and a defensive standpoint, if you think it's bad, it's worse than you even think what's going on there. But that's a discussion for another time. The offensive side, I think there's some really good candidates, and I know everybody wants to go find Kyle Shanahan. He's not coming here, but Zach Robinson, I think, in Atlanta, who's a McVay disciple. I think he's done a really good job with some tough situations up there in Atlanta. They've got some really good numbers, and certainly torch the Bucs defense many times with Kirk Cousins. I think Zach Robinson would be a great hire. I think Todd Monken would be a great hire. He has connections, obviously, having been here before. He coached Baker for a year. I think he would be a great hire. I don't know if Mike McDaniel's going to be an option. I think he'll probably get a head coaching job. But there's some good names here, and I think Shieldhouse from the Rams is another one that's interviewed. Kafka interviewed yesterday. I like a lot of what he did late with New York this year, with not a lot to work with. So I think there's some really good candidates. I think they're going to find somebody good, and because everybody knows if you come here and work with Baker, you automatically get a head coaching job somewhere. So there you go. Unless your name's Josh Grizzard.
Okay, 30 seconds. Are you saying it's possible, much like in the Gruden situation, they had no intent in firing Gruden, and about a month went by and they finally said, you know what, we got to move on from this guy? Do you think that's in play here or no?
I do, because the Glazers have not come out and said anything. Correct. The only way we know that Bowles is back is because he texted Rick Stroud, the reporter. I mean, have you ever heard of a team announcing a coach is coming back in a situation where there's some question, right? There's obviously some question whether he was coming back, and the owners don't come out and put out a statement. It's just it's disseminated to us through a reporter's text message from Todd Bowles, and plus they were kicking the tires on John Harbaugh. So yeah, I do think there's a chance that maybe this is not set in stone, because what's going on over there is defensively not good.
He's heading to his show, which starts in a little more than an hour. He's JP Peterson.
I4 not that bad this morning. Unbelievable.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah!
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This was coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
Play all night, play all day. Experience more in paradise. At Seminole Casino Hotel, we're bringing you more. With the newest slots, action-packed table games, sports betting, the hottest entertainment, and a variety of award-winning restaurants. Expect more with live craps, roulette, and blackjack 24/7. And over 1,400 of the most popular slot machines. This is the place where paradise never ends. This is Seminole Casino Hotel. Minutes away from more. For more information, visit moreinparadise.com. Must be 21 to play slots and table games. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
This is Miller and Moulton.
By the way, I know there were a couple of people who in the chat room yesterday asked about why we weren't talking about the Marcus Freeman situation. Did you see or read the report by the police? For what it's worth, the police said, yeah, there's nothing there. He didn't do anything at all. If anything, the guy confronted him. Marcus looked at him for a second, looked away, grabbed his kid, and walked out the door. So it just didn't pass the smell test to me. And it's why I didn't talk about it, because I thought it would only disparage Marcus Freeman, and he didn't do anything to deserve it.
It's not really gravy. It's basically au jus, but that's what they call it for a Chicago beef sandwich. If there's a Chicago person in here and I said that incorrectly, please correct me. I believe so, Adam. Well, good question, DC. If the Giants had their way, it would be them and Harbaugh, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. I think you're going to see a lot of head coach. I mean, there's 2 weeks in between the championship game and the Super Bowl. Yeah.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the final hour of the show. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. If you've missed Bob Harig, Pat Kirwan, and JP Peterson, go to MillerandMoulton.com and download what you've missed. So just to circle back on what JP said last segment, you okay with the Rays Stadium being down the road from Ray J and not that far?
David, and I know we're on in Tampa, and I apologize to all the Tampa folk if I'm insulting any of you. I don't know if I know enough to answer that question correctly. I like what JP said. You know, the Ybor City thing would have been cool. There's no doubt about it. Someone was texting the show, and they wanted it on the other side of the Florida Aquarium. Okay, here's the thing, though. This appears to be land that's ready to put the shovel in the ground. And timing is everything with this. As you said, we're 3 years and 2 months from when they want this to open.
Mm-hmm.
So given the timeline involved, this seems to make the most sense.
Remember, they don't have a place to play after the 2028 season. They had 3 years left on their deal with the Trop. Obviously, the 1 year got postponed because of hurricane damage. So the lease was extended another year. That's this year, next year, and 2028. They need contractually a new place to play in 38 months. So that's why the Rays feel like, hey, we got to get this done. Remember at the introductory presser, they mentioned the Braves and that what they did with their stadium and the area surrounding it is the ideal. And that's why JP Peterson mentioned a moment ago, well, from shovel in the ground to walking through turnstiles was 2.5 years in Atlanta. That's 8 months leeway if they can stick to the Braves timeline. And we know they ain't putting a shovel in the ground next week. And I think we're willing to bet they ain't putting a shovel in the ground next month.
Right. And there are two words that JP said that scared the bejibbers out of me, though. Light rail. Florida and light rail seem to have had problems in the past.
Well,
so,
and the political
and I know
leaders.
that's a city one versus a statewide one, and I know there's one in the Miami area, so I get it. I just, that always scares me. And you and I, you especially, you're a Northeast guy. You love the train and the subway and all the things there, but they're not here anywhere.
No. Not only does the South seem allergic to light rail, but they seem to think it's the devil.
America's allergic to light rail, except for a handful of cities in this country. I mean, you know what I mean.
No, I understand. But I also think that, it's politicians in, 75% of the country who they hate the idea for whatever reason, but they hate it. And they certainly hate it in this state. And they have said so publicly. They're not willing to accept free money from the federal government to build any sort of rail system. I mean, they are truly allergic to it. Listen, they're building a subway system in Los Angeles. And the running joke is anybody going to use it?
I lived in Atlanta. People didn't use MARTA that often, by and large. It may have changed. I've been gone for over a quarter century. So if that's changed, you can, if you spend a lot of time in Atlanta, let me know. But, where did they move the new Brave Stadium to? The northern suburbs.
The one point he made, which I totally agree with, I mean, even though Ray J is one of the smaller NFL stadiums, they do 60,000+ for every Bucs game. And I don't know when's the last time you went to a Bucs game, but they get you out of there. Okay. Very rarely is it an absolute mess getting out of there. Well, we're going to talk crowds that are half of that. And I think, Mark, the size of stadium that they're building, I think standing room only is going to be like 33,000. I mean, we're not exaggerating when we say half. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're building like a 32,000 seat stadium. So
look, I think here's the other side of it. And this is what JP pointed out. And maybe they would have gotten this in other areas. But the land's not going to cost them anything. That seems to be an advantage. That seems to be something if I'm a real estate developer. And remember, the one other thing JP said is that this is a real estate project. This is not real estate development. This is not a stadium project per se. There's more to it than that. So, look at the Bucs do fine there. Obviously, it's 10 games if you include the preseason. We're talking about 81, so it's a completely different animal. But I don't know where the room is downtown for those that say they wanted it there. It would have been terrific if there was some sort of waterfront type ballpark. Absolutely. It would look gorgeous. I don't know where they could have done that. So it seems that they've got the land. We'll keep on this, but I've never heard anybody complain about where they have to go for a Bucs game, if you know what I mean. I thought the bigger thing that we touched on in the end is, and we talked about this from the get-go, Todd Bowles is the only one who has said Todd Bowles is returning.
Now, we said that from the very beginning.
Yes.
And we pointed out it is fascinating and almost unprecedented that you have not heard from not just Bucs ownership, you haven't heard from Jason Light at all, which told us two things. One, they want Bowles to wear all of this. That Light doesn't want to go before a podium and have some of the, missteps from the Bucs organization actually fall on him. But also, I mean, Jason Light knows what his bosses are thinking and feeling. And he clearly is not saddling up next to Todd Bowles. He thinks it's better to not be in the same room as him and maybe be in a room closer to his bosses. And that's why I asked the Gruden thing. Is it possible we get 2 more weeks down the road and the Bucs just decide, you know what, there are better candidates out there for the job than the guy we got, and we're going to make a change.
And the fact that there are so many openings, this is unprecedented in the NFL, and that JP saying there could be one more, and I don't disagree with him for the reasons that David just talked about. Nobody at Buck's Place other than Bowles has said he's staying. That seems weird to us.
It doesn't happen. We all know that. It doesn't happen. When a team decides they're keeping their coach, they come out and they say, we've taken it upon further review and we're moving forward with our guy. We believe in him. Let's go.
And even in Green Bay, what did Adam Schefter report yesterday? That they're talking about an extension. The coach, the GM, no one said that there is an extension.
Right.
Schefter merely reported that they're discussing an extension.
Right. Now, the head coach may want a 4 or 5 year extension, and the Packers may only be offering a 2-year extension. So they may not agree on terms. The Packers may be like, you know what, this defensive coordinator, we're going to lose him. Maybe we should keep him and make him head coach and let LaFleur go. Just saying.
By the way, Cleveland's interviewing all these candidates, and Schwartz apparently has gotten an interview. And I know he's got to wear the 0 for 16, and he will for the rest of his career. Do you think he deserves another shot? We can ask Pat on Friday or down the road if Cleveland's still looking for a coach, because, Pat's a big believer in the second time is the right time, if you know what I mean. We can even do that with Belichick and plenty of others. Would you hire Schwartz if you were in Cleveland? I mean, obviously their defense is fantastic.
Yeah, to me, if you have a mess at quarterback, your team's a mess. So I almost don't think it matters who you hire. I don't. Same in Miami, by the way. Okay? I mean, they at some point have to find a quarterback. The general manager hire was far and away the more important hire in Miami. He's going to have to clean up this roster with $100+ million in dead cap hits this coming offseason. He's going to have to decide the young players he's going to be able to extend, the players he's going to bite the bullet and lose. But also, he's got to come up with a plan to get his hands on a quarterback. Now, I think the way to go for both Cleveland and Miami is play one of the young guys you have now. In the Dolphins' case, it's just Quinn Ewers. In Cleveland's case, go with either Shador or Dillon. I don't care. Whichever one you think has more potential. Play them for a year. The 2027 draft class will be a much better quarterback draft class than this one. Buy yourself a year. Get your cap situation straightened out. Isn't this year coming up the last year for Deshaun Watson on the books in Cleveland?
I believe so.
Yeah. I mean, just eat. It's really, like, this fan base isn't going to put up with another bad year. Please, they haven't had many good ones in 30. They'll put up with another bad year.
By the way, don't you think with all of these new coaching jobs and the quarterback void in the draft, don't you like the spot Malik Willis is in right now?
Oh, yeah. And Daniel Jones.
Yeah. But he's coming off an injury, and obviously he's proved more on the field. But Malik Willis, Justin Fields got what with the Jets?
2 for 40.
2 for 40, right?
Right. 30 guaranteed, 20 fully guaranteed this year, 10 of his 20 next year guaranteed. The Jets will probably eat it.
Isn't that the bare minimum that Willis is getting? And I know he's not played, and you thought less initially. What do you think now?
Oh, yeah, I think he gets at least that. I do. I don't see how he can't. There's more teams that need a quarterback than have quarterbacks available. It's why, by the way, I think Kirk Cousins is a starting quarterback next year in the league. If he can get over the fact that it's going to have to be somewhere other than Atlanta, and he picked the Falcons specifically because his wife's from the area, they bought a house, they're putting their kids to school there. If Cousins can handle Joe Flacco's life about, my family in one part of the country and I'm living in a hotel in another. If he can do that, he's going to start next year because there ain't enough quarterbacks.
No, there are not. And that's the big question with Cousins. But Malik Willis, I think, is in a great spot. Miller and Moulton, the good, the bad, and the ugly, 25 minutes away. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 13325.
This is Miller and Moulton.
The Jets, Miami, Pittsburgh, Cleveland. That's 4. Where else are we going? Indianapolis, 5.
Arizona. Did you say them?
I haven't gotten out of the
Okay.
AFC yet. Vegas, 6. So we're 6 in the AFC. All right, NFC. We'll start in the West. Arizona, 7.
That might, I mean, to be honest, that might be it. Really and truly, David.
Yeah. 7.
You know, if Cousins leaves, do the Falcons need a guy to start the season if Willis isn't ready?
But
I mean, not Willis, Penix. Sorry.
But I'm assuming that with Penix, they don't need a quarterback.
Right. Fair enough.
So
They might.
7. There are 7. There are 7. If you think there are 2 free agents, Willis and Daniel Jones, okay, so that's 5. Mendoza will go to Vegas, that's 4.
If Moore goes, that's 3, and then does a Nuss and does the kid at Alabama,
right? But
do we really think they're starters off the bat?
Left Twix, if Cleveland's good with Sanders, it's the reason that Miami may be good with Ewers. They just need somebody to do it on the cheap for a year while they get the rest of their team together and cap. DC, we've been saying that since late last week. I like him. He's big. He's strong-armed. His dad's an offensive coach. I like his pedigree. I like him. Very strong-armed. He was clearly hurt this year.
Mac Jones got another year left on his contract, Left Twix.
Yeah.
And we don't think they're getting rid of him. But it's a good name, but we don't think they're getting rid of him.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when. Some final thoughts, a pick or two, all coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time. If I could just wrap this up into a bow, since, listen, there's a lot that we get wrong and a lot we don't do well. There's a few things that we do well. Nobody follows the money like this show. Nobody's out ahead of stories following the money like this show. I truly believe that. I think there are financial networks that don't follow the money as well as Miller and Moulton do. Let's go back to the Rays in Hillsborough County. Very quietly, a couple of weeks ago, Hillsborough County walked out a deal with the Lightning. They're going to make $325 million in repairs to the arena. Hillsborough County's picking up $250 million of it. Lightning, $75. Now, hotel taxes are supposedly where the $250 is coming from. That it's not coming from a taxpayer sitting at home. But what's Hillsborough County doing? They're taking care of the current tenants, took care of the Lightning. Now they're going to do this Rays deal, however they're going to do it. Get whatever help they're going to get from Tallahassee, get whatever help they're going to get from the Rays owners. They'll give them everything that they can and figure out taxes that don't come directly out of your pocket to take care of the rest. And then by the end of the decade, guess who's going to come calling?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, David?
Uh-huh. So they'll probably not wait until the stadium for the Rays is built. They'll start talking to them as they're doing the construction. But they'll say, our stadium's over 30 years old. That's old by stadiums nowadays. Our stadium's one of in fact, I think it's the second smallest stadium in the NFL. I think only Soldier Field has less permanent seating than Ray J. And so I think the Bucs are going to be like, so what can we do? And I wouldn't be surprised personally if the Bucs take a really close look at what the Jags are doing. And then say, well, listen, we're not talking about knocking one down and building a brand new one. but we are talking about making some big renovations and adding some of this and taking some of that. And, I mean,
Yeah, while the ship is cute in the one end, it's a lot
Right.
of area where suites could be, or club seats, or whatever
Right.
the case may be.
or does the ship go away? 'Cause
Right.
That's a lot of seating.
Yes, it is.
And also, by the way, if the ship goes away, you're more likely to get a Super Bowl. Super Bowl's not crazy about a 62,000 seat stadium. They'd like a few more seats than that. Although a national championship game is coming back to Tampa in the next handful of years, I think it would help their case even more going forward if they had more tickets to sell. Just saying.
No, it's
It'll
an
get-
excellent point.
It'll get worked out. It will. Bucks aren't going anywhere. They're not.
No,
It'll get
and
worked
by the
out.
way, part of that Lightning deal is that the Lightning are committed to the Tampa area until 2045 or 2046 or something like that.
Yeah. So, but just know that in the next 24 months, the Bucks are going to go, hey, we're loving what's going on. When are you guys going to start taking our calls?
By the way, yesterday, David, I teased you, and I do that too much. It's an inferiority complex of mine. But about Messier having his jersey retired, on yesterday. I got caught up in nostalgia last night.
Boy, did you ever? Oh, my goodness. I got the texts, and I think the game was just kicking off or it was close to it. And I'm like, wow, look at this.
And I may have pulled technological. Well, I didn't may have. I pulled a technological miscue, something that I would have blamed my co-host for doing. Because when I went to ESPN Plus, it said Fedorov jersey retirement ceremony. I clicked on it. I thought it was live. I watched the whole thing, and I'm looking at the clock going, damn, the game should have started by now, when in fact it did. I ended up missing the first 15 minutes of the 14 minutes of the first period because I was watching the ceremony that was essentially on demand.
Hey, come on. The game's one of 82. This is once in a lifetime.
Absolutely. And by the way, I think Sergei Fedorov could still play. Damn, does he look good for 56. We're the same age. I feel pretty good about how I look, the hair and, not going gray and things like that. Damn, does he look good.
Yeah, he really does.
Wow. Because,
really does.
Nicholas Lindstrom was there. Lindstrom's going bald, man. There's no hair on top anymore. That's not a bald spot. That's bald. Shave that sucker. Yzerman looks fine. Looks like a guy that's his age. Not younger, not older. Looks great. Fedorov, he looked good. And David, it took too long for Detroit to do it. But Fedorov in his speech talked about leaving and blamed himself, which I thought was wild. Now, whether he thinks that or not, he said, I made a mistake. And, and then flipped it over into going to Washington, and that's where he met his now wife. And it turned out to meet the love of my life there and all of that. And he praised his wife and 2 kids. But
Boy,
it was a great ceremony.
Those kids are going to be so ugly.
Yes, because his wife is just so unattractive.
Right. She's stunning. And if you can, and you know what? And I have no problem as a heterosexual male is saying it. So is he.
Yeah. And she was in heels, but they were eyeball to eyeball. So the kids are not only going to be good looking, but probably tall.
And probably fast on skates with great hands.
Right. And, it was nice. Konstantinov was there.
Oh, such a sad story.
It really is. But he hugged Vladdy. That was cool, to say the very least. And at least the Wings got the win for him. They're up 3 spit. All of a sudden, it's 3-3. I'm like, you can't lose when you retire this guy's jersey. But it was for a lot of Wings fans, cool night, long overdue. Best line of the night, though, as I'm watching the broadcast, and I don't know how many people will appreciate this or care, but David, I know you will. They have, and I'm leaving it on during the intermission, and they have, I think it's Chris Ilitch that's now running the Ilitch businesses, Tigers, Red Wings, etc. And they introduce him, and the announcer, the play-by-play, it says, it's Chris Ilitch, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for, thanks for coming up, and da-da-da. And he says, well, God, thanks for having me up here. And literally without hesitation, he looks back and he says, well, you built the place. That's how you take care of the boss right there. That's called job security. That's something Miller and Moulton should have learned a long time ago. But we never did, and now we work for ourselves. Probably a smart move.
Well, a lot of anniversaries yesterday. It was 20 years to the day since the Rangers put Messier's 11 up into the rafters. Yesterday was 51 years to the day since the Steelers won their first Super Bowl. Yesterday was 57 years to the day that Joe Willie and the Jets did what they did in Miami against the Colts. I mean,
it is fascinating. It is fascinating that we're talking about Super Bowls that were played on this day, and we just got through Wild Card Weekend.
Right. Uh-huh. Yeah, things have changed a little bit.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. A few more teams in the playoffs. It's carried out, but as we talked about earlier in our show, they're carrying out the college football season, and it ain't working. TV numbers are not good.
Well,
either semifinal game. They were great for the quarterfinal, not great for the semifinal.
I was going to say they worked through in the regular season, and they worked through the bowls, and they worked through the quarterfinals. But where it's not working is the very end. And that's unique to college football because all the other major sports, it grows during the playoffs.
Do you think if they had the semis New Year's Day and just pushed the title game back a week, would that be good enough for them? And logistically, could they pull it off? I think they could. I know Lanning wants it to end January 1, but what if it ended the 8th or the 9th?
Yeah, I think it can work. But I think they're going to have to find a date that the NFL will never trample on. They're going to have to find, I think, a central location in which it's like, we try to get to here. But yeah, the end game right now for college football is not working.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton